talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Score a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With the headlines at 1 minute past 10, I'm Tom Clayton. Good morning. A former Manchester City midfielder has made a bold claim after last night's 2-0 home defeat to Leverkusen.
Yeah, I don't think with Guardiola they win the Premier League or the Champions League again, because he's been there a long time and you know, everything comes to an end at some stage.
That's Didi Hamann speaking to talkSPORT this morning. It was City's first defeat of the Champions League campaign. European football expert Kevin Hatchard thinks it's a perfect example of why the new format works.
I think it shows that there's quite a lot of competition all the way down the Champions League, and if you are off it a bit, you can get caught out, and that's what happened.
Meanwhile, we've been waxing lyrical about the performance of Esteval last night after Chelsea's 3-0 thumping of Barcelona. Some are even comparing the 18-year-old to a young Cristiano Ronaldo. Alex Harricks from Chelsea Fan TV says, yeah, fair.
The hype is real, but I guess it's a question of how long it's going to go on for. And the longer that we're talking about Esteval, the more good things we're saying. So, I mean, he is worth it.
Meanwhile, it's not such a good look for Newcastle, who lost away at Marseille, but Lee Clark is feeling positive.
This format should suit Newcastle, you know, with a great home form, and means we might need to go through a playoff scenario. And we've still got great belief. I think there was a lot of positives to take from last night.
Elsewhere, despite Coventry sailing into a 10-point lead at the top of the Championship, Frank Lampard insists he's not looking at the table. A 4-2 win away at Middlesbrough builds the gap as Stoke goes second. And Super League new boys York Knights will kick off the new season on Thursday the 12th of February by hosting champions Hull KR. Later that weekend, fellow newly promoted sides Bradford and Toulouse will go to Hull FC and Wakefield respectively. Get more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Rachel Reeves is promising not to lose control of government spending and deliver a fair and necessary budget this lunchtime. This as hundreds of farmers and their tractors protest over changes to inheritance tax. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, where we've got more premium tyres than the number of times you'll hear, "Ooh, it's a bit nippy" this winter. Book today at quickfit.com.
A frosty morning with a little mist and fog. Brighter spells developing through the day. A few showers in the west, but turning milder for most of us.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. We are live on talkSPORT. So Chelsea dominate Barcelona in the Champions League, but will this be their coming-of-age season in delivering major honours? Meantime, what's at the heart of Newcastle's away day issues, and did Pep produce a self-inflicted outcome? Also today, has change worked out at Coventry for the incoming and the departed? Do you lose face chasing the TikTok generation? Who will step out of Liverpool's leadership vacuum? And are FIFA manufacturing outcomes for the World Cup? It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. We are live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
And I may as well put it out there, I like a Wednesday because Danny Murphy is in our midst. Danny, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. You nervous about Liverpool?
I wouldn't say nervous. I think it's interesting. Fascinating would be a good word to see how they set up.
Yeah.
See if he makes any changes in terms of personnel or tactics. And
it's just that I heard maybe out there in that vast office, you might have said to somebody just in the passing, if they lose the next 2 or 3, Arnie might be in a bit of trouble.
Well, I think any manager that goes on a run where you're losing constantly, you're always putting yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
Liverpool's form at the moment in the Premier League is relegation form. there's only Wolves who've picked up less points in the last 6 games. So if they were to lose the next 2 against West Ham and I think Sunderland, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But let's hope we don't have to have that conversation. I like Arne Slot, especially even after meeting him. He's got a bit about him. He's bright. He's warm. I think it doesn't matter though what you've done before or if you're liked.
Yeah.
Is irrelevant when you lose games at Liverpool constantly. So he's got a big week.
Oh, yeah. Well, tonight they're live on talkSPORT 2 and they're up against PSV Eindhoven, who lead the way in the Eredivisie at this precise moment. I just like saying Eredivisie. I don't know why.
It's one of those ones I can actually pronounce.
Good morning. You've been quite
Morning.
quiet.
Listening to Danny, paying attention.
Paying attention, listening to Danny. I listened to Todd Bowley, co-owner of Chelsea, when they won the Club World Cup. And he said to me there and then, Simon, there's not a day now goes by that we don't waking up in the morning and think, yeah, Chelsea today could win something significant. You think they can win the Champions League?
Listen, the Barcelona side that's been smashed by Sevilla 4-1 earlier on in the month, that's conceded 3 goals to Club Brugge. They're Barcelona because of the reputation of Barcelona. They're second in the league behind Real Madrid. They're not a great Barcelona side, but notwithstanding that, it's still a very good result for Chelsea. Yeah. Chelsea are a decent side with decent players. The manager's coming of age, I think, a little bit more in terms of understanding the responsibility that he has of building a side and perhaps talking it up rather than talking it down. We'll see. But no, I don't. I think they can be very competitive in the Champions League and proving to be so. I think they can be very competitive in the Premier League, but I just think there's a margin that they're away from winning something.
So are they a here and now team yet or not?
I mean, it depends on what competition. Do I think they win the Premier League? No, I don't think they win the Premier League. I think it'll be a fascinating insight into how good they can be against Arsenal on the weekend.
Yeah.
Because this week would have been put down as a big week for Chelsea. It'll be a week of, hang on a second, we're going to find out about this Chelsea side. Now, if they come out and get a result against Arsenal, then the conversation starts to move again. But I still think Arsenal are a better side. I think they're more seasoned than Chelsea are. I think their manager's ready to ascend.
Yeah.
And is almost in a position now to be at the fore to win the league, which is what people now expect Arsenal to do, irrespective of whether it's 12 games into the season or not. So I think Chelsea are going to be very competitive, as I said they would be. I think Chelsea are more likely to be winning a Premier League next year than this year.
Do you think they're here and now, Danny?
No, I agree with most of that. I mean, the problem is with Chelsea, they lose at home to Brighton and Sunderland and then beat Liverpool and Barcelona. They've got extreme performances in them. What they are is a team full of pace, tenacity, skill, attacking flair. They can beat anybody on the day. I still think they're missing a couple of senior heads and defensive stability. I mean, look, we might all be proven wrong.
Yeah.
And we've been talking for a long time about the fact that you can't win big trophies without experience. They might prove us all wrong, and Todd Bowley will be sitting there with a smile on his face at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Because they've got some wonderful talent. And that was a great performance last night.
Well, that's right. Well, a friend of mine, and I managed to do it for him a bit, we bought a couple of tickets, and he's a huge Barcelona fan.
Oh, did you go?
I didn't.
Oh.
He went with his wife.
They were, to be fair,
thinking that it was going to be Lamine Yamal's night and that Barcelona would do something, and they didn't.
Well, they were missing. Pedri's a big miss for them. Gavi's a miss for them. Rafinha didn't play. So there's mitigating circumstances, but still, nevertheless, the
and
players,
of course, the sending off.
Yeah, but Chelsea was better 11v11.
That didn't help them. And yet, Maresca, and you tell me, he still plays it down, doesn't he?
For me, personally, it's, as you said, it's a big win, especially because the other team was Barcelona. But nothing changed in terms of what team we are, what we can achieve. So for sure it's important tonight game, but no more than that. It's finished. Now focus on the next one that it's difficult again.
Yeah, it takes it on his stride, doesn't he, Simon? It's no big deal. We're doing what we want to be doing.
Well, he's probably right, isn't he? Because otherwise, if he starts making bold claims, he puts himself as a hostage to fortune. He will believe that his side is capable of achieving things. Otherwise, he wouldn't be a football manager. It's about the reality of how he conveys that message in the media. Now, he doesn't exude charisma, does he? So you can say similar things from a different manager that might sound more charismatic and more inspiring. I mean, I did think that what he did last year was interesting, that he balanced expectation and then complained about the media talking down his team at the end of the season, which was slightly ludicrous.
Well, that's right, yeah, which went against what he was saying. I mean, Danny, will he be able to get away with talking down their chances like he did all last year?
Yeah, I think, well, if it's delivered in a calm way like he just did, I think it's realistic. To get carried away is leaving himself wide open. And also, look, he knows. He's watched the games. He's seen them be brilliant one week and then poor the next. He's living in reality.
Yeah.
Fans will soon see through if you start making silly, bold comments. He knows he's got a talented group, and if they ride with the momentum and keep doing what they're doing, keep being bold in their play and going after teams, they're gonna cause some real problems.
I've got to say, Danny, you're slightly coming in for it. There's Darren. Jim, good morning. Please read this in a loud voice for me in SW6. Morning, Jim. Morning, Simon. No, I won't do that. Please ask Murphy, ooh, that's you, about his negativity to Chelsea. Now it's 2 trophies, beating Liverpool and now Barcelona. Read it loud and proud, Jim. Negativity?
Reality. I mean, if you want to boast about the Conference League, fine. Go be it in some Mickey Mouse tournament in the States. That's fine.
Hello. You're still not having that.
I think Chelsea
They wear the badge, Club World Champions.
I think Chelsea are doing really well, and I really enjoy watching them play. I really do. I think they play some great stuff. They've got good players. It's an exciting team, but it's not ready, I don't think. But as I said before, they might prove us wrong. I doubt it.
I mean, we know who won the Battle of the Teenagers. Esteval against Jamal. I mean, what do you think Chelsea have got in the Brazilian? I heard Alex Crute likening him to a young Ronaldo and the impact that he's made early on. But, I mean...
Good old Crookie.
How definite can you be, Danny, in your projections around 18-year-olds?
Yeah, I think you can see a super talent when you see one. He's obviously got an abundance of talent and he's going to be a top player. To start talking about him in the same breath as Ronaldo is ridiculous in many ways. But yeah, if you think back to when Owen or Rooney came on the scene, you can just tell.
Yeah.
He's got that unique thing, isn't it, where he's electric, he's quick, but he's got wonderful touch and awareness of where he is when he's running with the ball. Not many players have that. But yeah, he's a special player. He's going to make big impact for them this season. I like what he's doing with him as well. He's not just throwing him in every game.
Yes. Yeah.
Bit by bit. And he might not start against.
Whenever it appears he catches the eye, though.
Fans love him already, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really good.
It wasn't to be for Newcastle on the road again. Nothing new there. It wasn't to be for Manchester City either. We're going to get into that. But Chelsea fans, you might want to give us a call this morning. Is this Chelsea's coming-of-age season? Are they a team now ready to compete for major honours in the here and now? 03717 22 3344 810 89. Oh, Danny Welbeck, happy birthday. 35 today.
fans, welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Chelsea fans, coming your way in a second. Chelsea fans coming Danny's way this morning. Jim, good morning. Murphy is a clown. That's not nice, is it? Like his ignorant mate, Carragher. Still bitter about the Club World Cup. I hope it hurts him for the next 4 years, says Keith.
Yeah, I'm so bitter, Keith. Really struggles.
You still don't put much stock in the fact that they are Club World Champions, do you?
No.
Do you still think that really doesn't mean much?
No, it doesn't. Not to me. Might to them, but it's, I mean, what, you beat three Brazilian teams, Tunisian team, American team, Portuguese team, and then, okay, brilliant final, played well against PSG, who'd had a really long season, but it's irrelevant. It's not important enough yet.
Irrelevant? How can it be irrelevant, Dan?
Well, to footballers, people in football understand what it is. It's not the best teams in the world, is it?
It's a major honour.
The best teams in the world weren't all there. So it's fine. Play well.
But the best teams in the world don't always get to the Champions League final. Don't always get to the World Cup final.
No, but the best teams in Europe always start it, don't they? They always start the Champions
Do
League.
you think it means much, Simon?
I think it has meaning. I don't think it currently has as much meaning as some of the other tournaments. That's because it's relatively new. It's a newer format, and it's played at a certain time, and also it was played in America. So it lost some of the cachet that it could have had by the very nature of some of the challenges that it put forward upon itself, which is some of the timings of the games, some of the ways that the games were affected by the weather conditions, and ultimately the time of year. But yes, of course it does. And if you beat the best team in Europe, it was. I mean, PSG would have liked to have won that.
Yeah, they would. That's
So we can look at any tournament. You can say, well, go to the World Cup and look at the qualifying stages of the World Cup and look at some of the crap teams you have to play in that particular competition, and you get through and you start playing the meaningful teams about the quarterfinals and semi-finals.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in England's past, we get knocked out then. But in this instance, Chelsea might have played meaningless teams, but they played the best team in Europe and beat them. So it has some meaning and has some resonance.
Well, Chelsea beat Barcelona 3-0 last night, and at any time of the day or night, that is a significant result. But is this Chelsea team a team now ready to compete for major honours in the here and now? 03717 223344. I think because Danny's on, Chelsea fans calling in big numbers. Lawrence, good morning. Is it now or never for Chelsea? What do you think, mate?
Good morning. Good morning. First of all, once again, well done, Simon Jordan, educating Danny Murphy, because obviously he needs that little bit. He needs that prep. He needs that help. So, and again, I said it last time, Danny Murphy crying about Chelsea. He's doing it again. It's fantastic. I can see. I'm watching it now on YouTube. He's seething inside. He's fuming. I can see it. See it in his face.
I'm looking at Danny.
He's a mind reader as well.
I'm sitting just a couple of feet from him, and he doesn't look overly emotional.
Yeah, well, he's exactly like last time. He's crying about Chelsea, and I remember he was talking about Chelsea need a Van Dijk, Chelsea need this. I saw Chalobah again step up again and keep a clean sheet against Barcelona, but I don't think Danny Murphy wants to talk about that, because remember that he said, yeah, Chalobah's been all right, and then he was talking about just now, Barcelona have got some injuries. Okay, so Chelsea haven't got Palmer out, Colwell out. We can go on, but Danny, would you like to interject there at all?
Well, what's your question?
No, there isn't a question.
I like Chalobah. I like Chelsea. I enjoy watching them play. They're doing really well. We've never seen. Tell me who've won the league or the Champions League without experienced players.
Well, everyone said Man United don't win it without kids, but I'm not saying we're going to win the league. But I think Chelsea deserve their flowers, and
So do I. It was a great performance. I said that.
And let's concentrate on that line that I threw out there, Lawrence. Is this a team ready to compete for major honours now, in the here and now?
It's very close. I think Arsenal are going to win the league this year. I think they are probably the best team, but I'm interested to watch that game on Sunday and see how they do. Danny said, when we lose to teams like Sunderland and, Brighton at home, it's disappointing. And, teams that come in with low blocks, and obviously we got to go past, we need to find a way past that. But still, I'm still proud to be a Chelsea fan, and I can see the way we're going in the right direction, and Liverpool going in the opposite direction.
They are.
So,
Chelsea can beat Arsenal, that's for sure. If Chelsea play well and Arsenal aren't at it, Chelsea can beat them.
Yeah. Lawrence, listen, thanks for the call. George, good morning. Big Chelsea fan. What do you think? Is this Chelsea's coming-of-age season, George?
Well, there's a lot going on. Just before we go on to my beloved Chelsea, I totally agree with what Simon Jordan's saying. As always, very intelligent, very well educated around it all. Going on the Club World Cup, I know Danny doesn't think it's anything big, but I think winning 85 million into a business is pretty big, I think, in my eyes. Any business would like an injection of 85 million pounds, and that's what Chelsea got for winning that Club World Cup. So I do think it means something. And at the end of the day, football is a business now. Danny Murphy's cut from the same cloth as Jamie Carragher, but knocking on the door, Chelsea are knocking on the door. I don't think we're quite ready, but if we win on Sunday, this is a 6-point game on Sunday. If we win on Sunday, we are 3 points behind them. Arsenal will be looking over their shoulders, and Chelsea are playing some extremely good football. Yeah, Barcelona weren't at it last night. It's not the Barcelona we know. Like Simon Jordan said, Barcelona just carries that name, I think, at the moment. But Chelsea, they peppered them last night, 3-0. That Esteval, he's something else, isn't he? We've got Palmer still to come back, Colwell to come back. Chelsea look proper at the moment. And Maresca, I said it from day one. Maresca, I believe in him. He's that Italian. He's got that flamboyancy about him, and he's been learning on the job. But I think he's now educated enough to take Chelsea forward.
Yeah.
And I believe Chelsea will do it. They might do it this season. You never know. They might do it this season, but I think they will next season. But if they do it this season, sorry, Arsenal, but yeah, Chelsea are back.
Some might say, George, it would be about time.
It is about time. The way I look at it, Alex Ferguson always goes on about the noisy neighbours. I think Chelsea have been the neighbours from hell that have been away on holiday, and Arsenal have been enjoying it that Chelsea have been away. But we've suddenly come back from holiday at 5 in the morning, and we're putting the music on, and they're banging on that door, getting turn it down. Oh my God, they're back, and we are back. And you know what? We've won it all, and we're going to win it again.
I love that, George. Chelsea come back early from holiday. Love it. Alan, good morning. What do you think about all of this? You ready to win something significant here and now?
Absolutely. People are underestimating Chelsea. Chelsea's capable of winning that Premier League, and don't you underestimate them. People are forgetting that our best player, the GOAT, Palmer, hasn't been in the team.
That's true.
And as for Danny, I'm glad Simon's on that show because he brings a bit of intellect to the show. When he discusses, when we're talking about the club meaning nothing, the amount of money that brought Chelsea, and we beat the European champions. Danny, the problem you have is your mind's clouded because Liverpool are doing so bad. In fact, I don't even think we'll win tonight. The tea bag will stay longer than the cup, than Liverpool will.
The conversation we're having about the Club World Cup's not about money. We weren't talking about money. We were talking about it from a football perspective. If you want to elevate it in your own head, that's fine, no problem. Not talking about money. The money's obvious. Of course, the money's beneficial.
Danny, is that why the European champions were in the competition? Because it meant nothing.
They were the only decent team you played.
Ah, right, okay, yeah, sorry, okay. So for them it meant nothing as well. The European champions, they just entered it because it meant nothing.
No, they don't want it to win it. They don't want it to win it for the same reason as you. 85 million.
Listen, You need to concentrate on Liverpool. They won't be winning anything this year. They're the worst. One of the worst. They need to worry about getting relegated. That's what they need to worry about at the minute.
Oh, boy.
The tea bag stays longer in the cup than Liverpool at the minute.
Alan leaving one between ribs 3 and 4 for Danny there. Thank you very much. Connor, finish this off for me, mate. I mean, Maresca's got his feet in the ground, clearly. Do you?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think I'm all for giving us the flowers, and I think Maresca deserves the praise he gets, especially with the growth of our young players like Esteval, people screaming for him to start. But if he kept starting before, we wouldn't see the guy that we've got now, especially. He's helped him grow. We're bringing him on substitutes. I mean, I can understand where Danny's coming from in terms of it. His perspective.
We just lost him. We just lost you're back, Connor. No, we just lost him. It's fair to say, Danny, whenever the Club World Cup comes up, and if you play it down a bit, Chelsea fans are on you. But you'd expect that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but, I mean, I'd expect it from any set of supporters whose team had won it.
Yeah,
you know, I understand it. It may be helpful in giving them some confidence of winning things. Maybe that's maybe an argument. But
and as for you, you've said next to nothing, but you can do no wrong.
I know.
Well, apparently his intellect is based on him giving credibility to that competition rather than not.
Absolutely right.
So that's your way you judge intellect. But I'm talking about it from a footballer's point of view. A lot of players who play the game you're not classed as being successful by winning that. Yeah. That's not the game.
Interestingly, before we hit the break, have you got something against Chelsea? Do you not like Chelsea?
No, I hope they beat Arsenal.
You hope they beat Arsenal on Sunday?
Not because of just for the competitive edge of the league.
Because Chelsea fans clearly think you've got it in for them a bit. But this continual, I'm not having the club.
No, because they're relating it to my judgment of that competition.
Yeah.
Not of Chelsea itself.
And they're putting you and Jamie in the same category, the same bracket.
Well, I'd like... Why? Nobody's given me any...
You don't like Chelsea?
I don't dislike Chelsea.
You don't dislike Chelsea?
No.
You're not folding under direct questioning, Dan.
I'm nonplussed.
Nonplussed. That'll do us. We're coming up to 10:30. What is it about Cristiano Ronaldo and Infantino? The two seem to be best chums, don't they? We'll talk about that because Ronaldo will be at the World Cup and he can play in the games, even though he gets sent off against the Republic of Ireland. We're going to get to that. It's 10:30.
The Premier League's profit and sustainability rules are sold to us as financial fair play, a way to keep clubs from going bust. But there are those who feel it's starting to look a lot like a system that protects the big boys and keeps the rest in their lane. Here's how it works and why people feel that way. So clubs can only lose 105 million quid over 3 years, which sounds fair, but here's the kicker. Your limit includes how much you earn. So if you're one of the traditional top 6, you've got massive global revenue streams and you can spend way more while still technically following the rules. Meanwhile, ambitious clubs like Newcastle, Villa or Forest, well, they're bringing a knife to a gunfight. Newcastle might be backed by Saudi billions, but they just can't splurge the cash. Their commercial income isn't there yet. Last season, they won their first domestic trophy since 1955 and qualified for the Champions League, which you'd think would be a great springboard for them to go on and start building a team to challenge at the very top. But because of PSR restraints, they couldn't break their wage structure for a new Alexander Isak contract, and look what happened there. So what's the solution? Well, either loosen the reins so ambitious clubs can spend within their means, or cap spending based on something other than revenue. Otherwise, we're just watching the same 6 teams swapping silverware most seasons, and that, folks, ain't what the Premier League was built on.
It is Wednesday morning, November the 26th, and a beautiful one at that. I hope it's good wherever you're listening all around the UK and beyond. Haven't said that for a long time. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. We're live in talkSPORT and live on your TV as well, even Prime Video. Wherever you want to watch us, we are there for you. Coventry City fans, you're beginning to dream. If you're not, then I think you should, because this is on, isn't it? You are flying in the Championship. We're going to get to that. Absolutely flying. And the home straight will come sooner than later, I think, for you. And the Premier League will become a reality. I hope so. It's going well. We like Doug King, the owner. We like Frank Lampard, of course we do. We will get to that, but let's stick with this. And in Europe last night, another surprise result. And I think, yeah, we can categorise this, Danny and Simon, can we not, as a surprise? Because Manchester City at home in the Champions League, you'd expect them to win, because that's what they do. And yet, Manchester City were beaten 2-0 by Bayer Leverkusen in their first home defeat in the Champions League group phase since Lyon's win in 2018. Now, they better get it together, because it's Real Madrid for them next. But maybe Pep made too many changes. No maybes about it. 10 was just too many, according to Pep.
Yeah, too many changes. So what I said always, I believe that the long seasons, every 2 days, 3 days, 2 days, 3 days, everybody has to involve, but maybe it was too much seeing the result. I think they play to make a mistake, instead to play to do what you have to do. And what you are thinking to avoid, to don't punish the team, you are not free, you are not relaxed, but not just with the ball, without the ball, we were close but not aggressive enough, and they are a really, really good team. Congratulate, of course, Leverkusen, but yeah, it's what it is. I take absolutely full responsibility, but also I think I see them, and I like to everybody be involved, be a football player. When you are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, don't play. It's it's tough, but yeah, maybe it was too much.
Dan, it was 100 games for Pep in charge of Manchester City in the Champions League last night. But to an extent, was this self-inflicted? 10 changes.
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, a lot of players coming in who haven't been playing regularly. You're always, in lap of the gods, really, in terms of how they're gonna be, putting them all together rather than just doing 3 or 4. I mean, they still had a hell of a team out, really, when you look at it. All internationals, some high quality players, and he probably felt they'd have enough to get through the tie. But he had the cushion of previous results in the Champions League, so I don't see it as a big problem. The quality City, the level City have been playing at recently has been really good. Got themselves back in contention. They're in the top 4. The Newcastle game at the weekend, hell of a good game. Could have gone either way. It's not a big deal. I don't see it being a problem. I don't see City in a difficult situation when he puts the big boys back in for the next game.
Yeah, I wonder is he looking ahead to the weekend? They play Leeds. He knows that Arsenal might slip up against Chelsea.
Yeah, probably. And also, when you've got such a big squad with so many internationals and so many senior players, that there are games where you've got to give them some game time. Otherwise, you're causing yourself a problem.
Yeah.
Knocking on the door constantly. There you go. There's a game. Get some minutes in your legs. He'll be disappointed with some of them. I mean, he made 3 changes at half time, so he was obviously fuming.
Yeah, yeah.
The reality is that the format in the Champions League gives managers the capability of doing that now. That's why I said earlier it'd be interesting to see what Slot will do with the Liverpool team tonight, because of obviously they've done well so far in the Champions League.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it was 100 up, Simon, as I said, in the Champions League for Guardiola in charge of City. With the return of one European trophy to show for it, is it unfair to characterise that as an underachievement?
Well, I mean, Manchester City took a long time to win the Champions League and went through various guises and various opportunities to do so. So if you look at the clubs that he's managed with Barcelona, Bayern Munich and Manchester City and the resources that he's had, then you have to say that it's not the greatest level of achievement, given the fact he's had so much domination in the domestic leagues. It comes down to the blueprint of what you believe is the most successful or the most valuable tournament to win. I mean, back in the day, it was always, if you asked Brian Clough what he wanted to win, he would tell you the domestic league every single year. I saw him in an interview the other day, because I like looking at those old interviews that Clough does, because I find him a fascinating character. And he talked about, you can take the European Cup and you can take the FA Cup and you can take the Football League Cup. He said, I think the best judge of a manager's capability is at that time over the 42 games that you play in a season, because that requires all the attributes of a manager, from endurance to tactical nous, through to man management, through to every aspect.
You can't win the league by luck, can you?
No, that was precisely his point. I mean, you look at the format of the Champions League, as Danny says. This time last year, Man City were different. Started the season relatively brightly and then fell off a cliff.
Yeah,
they're now they're in the automatic qualifying spots in the Champions League. They've had a bad result against Leverkusen, which is an interesting one because they themselves are an interesting side. They're not the side that they were a couple of years ago. They're not pulling up great trees in the Bundesliga. They got smashed 7 by PSG in this competition and drew 1-1 against PSV at home. So they're no great nick themselves. It's interesting how these players come in and why Pep has to explain the inability for players that we banging on his door to play, and then when it comes on top, they don't produce. Now, he might say that the quantum of changes that I made unsettled the balance. But by the same argument, you give people a chance and they don't turn up or they don't get you an outcome, then to some extent, it might make his life a little bit easier, because it makes the opportunity to push back against players saying, well, when I put you in, you didn't do it.
Yeah.
Is that fair, Danny, as a footballer?
Yeah. I think the problem you've got as a player sometimes is that you really want to do well and you might be at it, but a few of the others aren't, and it reflects badly on you. But it does give the manager now carte blanche, really, to do what he wants without fear of comeback.
What do you make of this? I mean, this morning on breakfast, I heard it. Now, really? Didi Hamann, of course, one time Liverpool, one time Manchester City as well. He was talking about Pep, he was talking about Manchester City and what Pep may or may not, more significantly, win again there. This is Hamann.
Yeah, well, I said a few weeks ago, I don't think with Guardiola they win the Premier League or the Champions League again, because he's been there a long time and everything comes to an end at some stage. And if you look at them yesterday, I don't know what he tried to prove, because to make 10 changes was a bizarre decision against a decent Leverkusen side. They're on 10 points. They play Real Madrid now in the next game. If they lose, they probably won't finish in the top 8 and they have to go through the playoffs again.
Gee. Well, he didn't miss, did he? Guardiola at City won't win a Champions League or a Premier League again.
I'm inclined to not disagree with Didi. I mean, I know he's very bold, and we spent time with him in Germany last year, and he speaks his mind. And whether he has a motivation for saying it, I don't know. But I'm inclined to have a degree of agreement with it, not just because I'm jumping on a bandwagon, but I think that Man City have lost that luster. They've lost that image of being unbeatable and unplayable against. They're still a very good side, still with a remarkable centre forward, but they're not the dominant force that they were. Now, how long does Pep stay in this job? He's been there for 9 years. Clearly, he's enjoying himself. But there
Doesn't look like he is.
Well,
I'm joking.
You know what I mean.
Yeah,
Clearly, to be somewhere for 9 years, he's enjoying himself.
Surely, of all the managers, it's crazy to write him off.
Yeah, I wouldn't write him off just yet because they've got so much talent. Do you think part of your opinion, and I'm not trying to get a silly reaction, but because he's had so much success, I think a lot of people don't want him to succeed anymore.
It can come from that. It comes from the fact that he's judged by... They are judged. This result against Bayern by Leverkusen is not a bad result in the great scheme of things because they're 10 points in the league. You know, Chelsea... We're talking about Chelsea just bashed Barcelona. They've got the same amount of points in the Champions League, and we're waxing lyrical about Chelsea, and we're diminishing Man City because Man City have been at such a high standard that ultimately the only way they can really go probably is slightly backwards. They're not going to get any better.
That far back that they don't win again.
Well, not that they don't win again. I don't know how long Pep Guardiola stays at Man City. So if you look at this season and say, do you think that Man City are the best team in the Premier League? The answer probably is no. They're a good side, and they're a side that's really got itself together from the falling off the cliff of last year. But we still think, most of us think, the conventional wisdom thinks Arsenal are going to win the league. So that's the Premier League gone this year.
Yeah.
You look at it and say the Champions League. Do we think they're the best team in Europe? Probably not. Arsenal could look in that space as well, and PSG could look in that space, and Madrid could look in that space, because Madrid aren't going to find themselves out of the picture for the Champions League year on year. So they'll be back at the Champions League table looking to reclaim what they think is rightfully theirs. So there's potentially a season gone. Next year, who knows what Pep Guardiola does? These are temperamental characters at times. They're combustible. They might look like great statesmen and great leaders and great winners, but they also change their minds relatively quickly. Who saw Klopp leaving? Guardiola won't want to leave, but can he get back to the... Is he ever going to get back to the heights that he got to, where they won the treble? I don't think so. So what's he chasing? What's the chase now? Is the chase to re-emerge as a side that gets close to what it used to be?
Yeah.
Is that what Pep Guardiola... Or is he going to... Is the belief system that he's going to create a side that emulates what he did before? Because when he went to Bayern Munich, he couldn't emulate what his predecessor did. He picked up a wonderful team, but he couldn't emulate what his predecessor did, which, of course, was a very difficult thing to do anyway.
It's a good point, Danny, isn't it? I mean, after the Newcastle defeat at the weekend, he was on the pitch and apologising for having a shoving match with the cameraman, as brief as it was. And then last night, it's on me, 10 changes, didn't work. He's very quick to assume the blame at the moment. And I don't think we're seeing the robust, strident Pep that we've seen.
No, I don't think. I think last night he had to say that because it's correct and right.
The best way to disarm an argument is to agree with it.
I think his ambition is to win the title with this new team,
of course,
and just to show that he can rebuild a team.
He can lose. The other game, because of the standards they've set, everyone else has had to raise their game, and he's dragged all in a high tide. All boats rise, right? And he's got the other boats have now risen, and it's whether he can arise again. He's not Lazarus. I'm not suggesting he's dead and he's going to come up from the dead.
Yeah,
but I think that there's a possibility that Guardiola will not achieve the heights that he's had before, which is why I kind of concur. And I'm not writing him off.
No, I know what you're saying.
I know what a manager he is.
You surprised me by coming in that, Simon. I must admit, I didn't think you'd back a man.
No, I think there's something in what you're saying.
Okay, do you, Man City fans? Do you think Pep?
Well, there's more chance they won't than he will because there's only two big competitions to win this season.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Can he emulate the levels at which he operated previously at Manchester City? Can he hit the heights that he got to in the past? In other words, can he win another Premier League? Can he win another Champions League with Manchester City? You might want to give us a call on that. 03717 223344. And significantly, if not, why not? Give us a call.
welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
I always say it, but we're delighted that this is the show you seem to like so much, but you're a big part of it, and all the messages that come in and the calls that come in are a very big part of that for us as well. Simon and Danny alongside each other this morning. I wonder what you make of this on Manchester City. Didi Hamann saying this morning, under Pep, I don't see them winning another major honour like the Premier League or the Champions League. There's George. Danny, what do you make of it? Manchester City were bound to face this problem when they stopped buying the best-in-class players. Erling Haaland was the last best signing that was best in that position at that time. Best in class. They buy good players, don't get me wrong, but they're not best in class now. Haaland was the last.
Have they been
Is
buying?
there something in that?
You like Doku?
Yeah, I love Doku. I when you look back at City's best player, I mean, De Bruyne, for example, when they bought him, he wasn't best in class. I don't think that is a something that they've done all the time. I don't agree with that. When I'm thinking of their best teams,
I think to a large extent they still do. I mean,
even their best defender, if you think of Vincent Kompany, because I played against him when he first come, he actually started as a holding midfielder, dropped into centre half. He wasn't the best centre half in the world.
Yeah.
And he became one.
Right.
Under Pep.
Right.
I'm not sure that's been their MO.
I'm not sure though. I mean,
so they've always gone.
Simon, there've been signings made at City, and I've thought, who's that? Who's that again? Whereas in the past,
well, if you look at Doku,
Doku's a decent name.
Doku's a great example now. He's arguably the best winger, one of the best wingers in the league at the moment. When he came, people had seen glimpses of him coming off the bench for Belgium and stuff, but nobody would say he was the best winger in the world.
Yeah,
I don't remember a time. And actually, I suppose, look, Donnarumma, who they've just signed, you could argue he's the best in class out there, one of.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't think it's their MO.
People thought it was a strange signing because ultimately he doesn't do what Pep Guardiola has traditionally wanted his goalkeepers to do.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you can make the argument. I don't think the argument is salient. By using Erling Haaland is a straw man argument because, yes, you're able to nick him because of the release clause that they put into play at 55 million quid.
Yeah.
And it ended in an outcome that his father had played for the football club and he is the best in class in the centre forward position. But I don't think Manchester City have gone time after time. The players that they've got there have ended up being best in class because of the coaching they've been
talking about nicking things. Newcastle would love to nick an away game and win an away game away from St James's Park, but they can't do it. They go to Marseille last night. They go 1-up thanks to Harvey Barnes. Then they lose 2. And they lose the game. It was their 4th defeat in a row away from home, the 3rd in succession in which they have lost after leading. And Nick Pope, goalkeeper, made another poor error last night, rushing out the goal into no man's land to see Aubameyang, of all people, equalised. And Eddie Howe spoke about the result. Oh, and Pope.
Well, I think a concern when we concede goals, regardless of who's at fault, I think we have to look at everything with a balanced head. Nick saved us many times. He made some really good saves against Manchester City just 2 days ago. That's the life of a goalkeeper. But I certainly back him.
Short and sweet from Eddie. Danny, what is at the heart of Newcastle's away day issues?
Well, I think deep down, you have to put it down to quality. You know, at home, they have this amazing support and this unique atmosphere. I've played there many times. It really is a special place, difficult to go. And and at home they can beat anybody. It's like the players are galvanised by the supporters a lot of the time. I know that sounds a bit fancy. I think it's the reality of it. And when they go away from home and get put under the cosh a little bit, they've capitulated too many times. And do they have enough quality? It's hard in the Premier League.
What's that? I mean, it's not. I mean, it was. They were dreadful against West Ham, despite taking the lead. Yeah. I mean, and West Ham were in no good form whatsoever. And when you look at the situation surrounding Newcastle and the manager, who I have a great time for now, I had my reservations about Eddie a few years ago, and they were wrong. And he's proved me wrong repeatedly, and I'm happy to be wrong. But what is it about the makeup of Newcastle United that can only respond seemingly to their home crowd when atypically they've been quite good on the road previously? They're to some extent, a couple of years ago, they were everybody's second favourite team because they took it to Man City a few years ago and really gave Man City a game, and that was a build-out for Eddie Howe post his first season. So what is it about this mentality that engenders a psychological block that allows you to be beaten away from home by teams that actually don't have the quality? Because we talk about a quality issue, but the teams that have beaten them, like West Ham, and with due respect to Brentford, don't have abundances of quality.
No. The best... If you look at football generally, for years, as you know, most teams will amass more points at home than away from home. Now, the teams that buck that trend, City, Liverpool in recent years of winning the leagues and stuff and winning game after game after game, have elite players with a mentality that's different than the huge percentage of the others. And it's very hard to pinpoint why some players can't play the same or be as confident or assertive on the road. It's just that's why the best players cost the most money, because they can just keep doing it wherever they play. And Newcastle have got some brilliant players, by the way, don't get me wrong, and still can have a good performance on the road and done all right in Europe up until last night, really. So it's not like they're losing every week. But yeah, the extreme levels of their performance, like to play as well as they did at home. I mean, even their performance at home to Liverpool with 10 men was incredible. Their performance against Man City at the weekend, superb performance, great energy and put themselves about. Doing it away from home in the Premier League is the hardest thing.
I hate singling one man out, but is Nick Pope good enough for Newcastle to get where Newcastle want to get to? I looked last night, Danny, the reason I asked, Newcastle United fans love their own, of course they do, but even a few of them were saying question marks about Nick.
I haven't seen all their games this season, so their fans will know more, but I like Pope. I think he's been a brilliant goalkeeper. He's very steady, very reliable. And as Eddie said, they played well at the weekend. There was a mistake last night. Yeah, it was his fault. You can't hide behind that. I suppose
it follows mistakes against West Ham and Brentford already.
Actually, yeah, the West Ham one, just remembering.
And those mistakes led to goals. That's the reason. Nick, if you're listening this morning, I'm sorry about this, mate. Spoken to you before on this very show. But at the moment, the finger has to be pointed.
I think the bigger question with Pope that's been against his name for a while is the footwork, his passing ability or lack of. If you want to evolve into a more possession-based team that controls games, which would help them on the road especially, then do you need a keeper who's better with his feet? I know Ramsdale's there at the moment who hasn't had a sniff, has he?
How much of an upgrade would he be?
It's a hard one to say that because we haven't seen him play regularly at Premier League level for quite a while.
Yeah.
I think it's just one of those little phases Pope's going through. He's been reliable for a long time. I'd be reluctant to say he needs to be left out.
Incidentally, before we leave this, very quickly, Harvey Barnes, what plane does he get on for the World Cup next
summer? Well, he's only got the choice of
the England plane or the Scotland plane?
Scottish plane.
Yeah?
Well, he's not... Even if he somehow had a miraculous second half of the season and sneaked in the England squad, he's probably not going to play ahead of Gordon or Rashford. So... Does he want minutes at a World Cup and experience that? He's got to get his kilt on, hasn't he?
Correct. Well said, Danny. That would be great. Harvey, if you're listening, get it done. In the meantime, that World Cup, I mean, what about it? FIFA seem to be manufacturing things in terms of the outcome that they themselves, the organisers, they want to see. How can that be? We're going to get into that next. It's 11 o'clock this Wednesday morning.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With the headlines at 2 minutes past 11, I'm Tom Clayton. Good morning. talkSPORT's been told Man City won't win another title, Premier League or Champions League, with Pep still in the dugout. That's according to the former City midfielder Didi Hamann. Last night they were beaten 2-0 at home by Leverkusen after Pep made 10 changes to his team. Hamann's not impressed.
It was a bizarre decision against a decent Leverkusen side. They're on 10 points. They play Real Madrid now in the next game. If they lose, they probably won't finish in the top 8.
Meanwhile, we've been waxing lyrical about Esteval after a stellar night at the Bridge. He scored in Chelsea's 3-0 win over Barcelona. But Danny Murphy says, let's just calm down a bit.
Yeah, I think you can see a super talent when you see one. He's obviously got an abundance of talent and he's going to be a top player. To start talking about him in the same breath as Ronaldo is ridiculous.
Well, this evening, it's the turn of Arsenal, Liverpool and Spurs in the Champions League. We'll be across all 3 games across the talkSPORT network. Now, Coventry are seemingly on a tilt for a promotion push back to the Premier League after a 25-year absence. They're 10 points clear at the top after a 4-2 win over Middlesbrough, but Frank Lampard's playing their position down.
What we're trying to do is do our thing. No time to look at that for too long. Okay, yeah, take the confidence from what we're doing at the moment, but keep our feet on the ground and understand what got us to this place and try and continue.
And Lord Ian Botham says this Ashes series could define the legacies of Ben Stokes and Joe Root. He says the best England captains are remembered for winning down under, and Joe Root needs to change the fact he's never scored a century there. Get more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Rachel Reeves is promising to deliver a fair and necessary budget this lunchtime. Meanwhile, tractors have brought parts of London to a standstill in protest against inheritance tax changes. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With a huge range of premium brands available, we've got what you need to drive away happy every time. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Brighter spells developing through the day. A few showers in the west, but turning milder for most of us.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it! Oh! Oh! We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Good morning, everybody. It is 5 minutes past 11 o'clock this Wednesday morning. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT. A lot to get through between now and 1 o'clock, not least that women's football draw in the League Cup quarter-final and the semi-final draw, which included sexual references and a ball being mistakenly put back into the bag. We'll get to that. It was all a bit of a mess. We'll get to this right now before I move on to the World Cup and who is and who isn't going to be there next summer. Danny, alongside Simon, we spoke briefly there about Harvey Barnes, Danny, and the opportunity that he may or may not be afforded to join Scotland at the World Cup next summer, or England if he continues to play the way he's playing. There's Aaron. Morning, Jim. With regard to Harvey Barnes, as a proud Scotsman, well, I can identify with you, Aaron, who is buzzing for the summer, do you really think that Barnes deserves this? Yeah, fair enough, he's a good player, but he hasn't contributed to Scotland qualifying, and then to give him minutes at a World Cup finals, I think it's disrespectful to the boys who got Scotland there.
Yeah, I understand that argument, but it depends what you want. If you want to be as competitive as you can be, and there's an opportunity which is quite unique, we don't hear this very often in terms of the timing. Nobody involved in the qualifiers, and then all of a sudden it comes to the fore that he's eligible.
Yeah. He's got a point, hasn't he?
I think the majority of players, probably everyone apart from the ones who play in his position, will want him there in the team because he gives you a better chance of winning.
You just don't want to be the guy that has to drop out with Barnes coming in.
And also from the nationality side of it, you know, we've seen the best teams from the Republic of Ireland, for example, over the years have English-speaking, English-born players who've contributed massively to their success. So it's, I don't know, if I was Steve Clarke, I'd be having a conversation with the group.
Before the decision?
Yeah. I would.
I mean, that's assuming the player himself wants to play for Scotland.
Yeah, I'm assuming that.
I mean, the player himself...
He hasn't ruled it out.
No, he hasn't ruled it in either. I mean, he is better than what you've got. It's a bit like the argument, do you stay with a promoted team and not buy any new players to perform in the Premier League?
Well, look at
or do you acquire better players and the other ones that got you out of the Championship get marginalised? It's a bit like that argument. It's how serious Steve Clarke wants to be. Does he want to play to a gallery that ultimately sends you home on the first plane, which is where you're going? Or does he want to give you a better chance not to be on that plane, which you'll be on with him anyway, even if he's there?
Didn't respond to that, Dan.
But Harvey Barnes, if Harvey Barnes has got anything about him, he will back himself to play for the nation that will afford him better opportunities in terms of bigger competitions, bigger tournaments, bigger achievements, which is obviously going to be England. Not because I'm being diminishing of Scotland. If he believes he's a top player, he's gone to Newcastle to be a top player. His form recently has not been pretty good. I mean, okay, he missed a hatful of chances the other day, but still got 2 goals. If he's played for England previously, I don't like this notion, and maybe I'm an idealist, that you play for a country and all of a sudden that doesn't suit you, so 5 minutes later you're going somewhere else. I didn't
then
like
England wouldn't have Declan Rice, would we?
That argument cuts both ways. I get you.
Or Grealish.
The argument cuts both ways, but was that full level? It was, wasn't it? It was at full level because Martin O'Neill couldn't manage him properly. So it was probably because Martin O'Neill was managing him and he wanted to go somewhere else. That's probably what it was.
Morning, Martin. Danny, at this stage, you have to think on this. Harvey Barnes, in terms of the probability of it, isn't going to be selected by Thomas Tuchel. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So it is an opportunity for Barnes and Scotland to do something about that. And basically the bottom line question is it fair on the ones who are there who have got them to the USA?
Well, life ain't fair. I mean, look at Sunderland flying at the moment. The fans are buzzing. The club's in a great position. Everybody's ecstatic.
Yeah.
I think their last game they played, or the Arsenal game it was, I was watching, when they drew 2-2, the only player in the starting 11 from the Championship side was Ballard. You know, do you want success? Do you want a winning team? Do you want the best players to give you the best opportunity? Or do you want to be patriotic, loyal? It's a delicate balance.
It is a delicate balance. We shall see. Harvey Barnes.
He's also 27 as well. I mean, I suppose if he was a tad younger, my argument might hold some more water, which is back yourself. There are other tournaments. You might not go to this tournament, but you'll get into the England side if you're good enough. But at 27 years of age, maybe the choice becomes less of a challenge to him because he's not Scottish. He doesn't have any Scottish playing for Scotland.
No, but he doesn't.
Distant relative.
No, his grandparents.
Scottish. Oh, come on. Yeah, I mean, I had Clinton Morrison who had played for Ireland and he came from Tooting.
Yeah,
but that's
and if you never listen to Clinton speak, you wouldn't think he once sent, Clinton O'Morrison.
Listen, this isn't unique to
me because
it's not unique to football. It happens all the time in rugby, doesn't it? So
the cricket
and cricket, yeah, of course.
Look, if Harvey Barnes,
one of your best cricketers was Mike Dennis, who was born in Scotland.
I've never even heard of him, so he can't be that good.
Ayrshire.
If Harvey Barnes goes on the plane, starts the first group game, Scotland have got Brazil,
right,
and he gets the winner.
Exactly.
Is there any Scottish fan who's not going to be dancing hanging off a lamppost celebrating?
Ryan Christie.
Huh?
Probably Ryan Christie.
You get my point.
Yeah. No, we get your point, Danny. Mike Dennis, thank goodness, born in Bellshill, Lanarkshire. And you was right. Here's the thing. Even if Harvey Barnes is or isn't at the USA next summer, one man who will be there for Portugal, of course, and who'll be playing from the start is Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo has seemingly been given an unprecedented pass by FIFA, and he will miss no games at the World Cup finals following his red card against Ireland for the elbow on Dara O'Shea. Ronaldo's already missed the match against Armenia on the 16th of November since the incident. Violent conduct carries a 3-match ban, but FIFA has now announced 2 of the 3 matches will be suspended and that Ronaldo will, quotes, be on probation for a year. The suspended 2 will only be invoked if he commits another similar offence. This is Ronaldo, who, if you're watching on YouTube, there he is, cozying up to Donald Trump just days ago. Who's to say that Donald didn't have a great word in Infantino's ear saying, Ronaldo, get him playing when he comes over. This means a lot to us in this part of the world. Anyway, Ronaldo plays from the start. Does it sit in the realms of fairness and integrity? Where are you with that?
No, of course it doesn't. Have you ever heard of anything, a suspension being put on hold?
How do you honestly feel about that, Danny?
Well, selfishly, I'm happy about it. Because if I'm going to be working on a Portugal game, I'd rather have Ronaldo in the team to talk about.
Come on. He needs to be there on merit, doesn't he?
Yeah, it
stinks.
It stinks. Of course it does. How can it? There's no other way to look at it. There's absolutely no other way to look at it.
Yeah. So this
it's a bit like all those years ago. Do you remember when Shearer avoided a suspension from the FA when Neil Lennon headbutted his foot?
This is a nonsense.
You know, it's just what happened.
Well, isn't it incumbent upon the other nations to object to it then? I mean, FIFA are making up rules as they go along to be able to create outcomes because, I mean...
It doesn't matter who objects. Nothing's going to change.
Well, you don't know what people are prepared to do and what they're not prepared to do.
FIFA rule and law unto
because,
themselves.
Well, they are and they aren't. They must have some mechanism that can... There'll be a statute of governance that they have to abide by, irrespective of whether they're an opaque organisation or not. And they must be able to make a case for their argument. Now, I don't know whether there's been any examples of this in the past.
I don't think...
Quite frankly, maybe. 40 years of age. I don't think there's that much of an impact, quite frankly. I mean, he's not the major Portuguese player. There was an argument about Ronaldo about a year ago whether he should be in a starting lineup.
Yeah, and that's still valid.
Yeah, but put it this way: Portugal are in pot 1. England are in pot 1. You can't meet them.
Mm.
So Portugal could play Scotland.
Yeah, and he scores the winner.
And he scores the winner.
Yeah. That's fine.
No, we're not. It stinks, Simon, doesn't it? It is ridiculous. It is. I mean,
well, especially you're saying.
Are they taking us for fools?
You're saying
if
that
it was anybody else, this would not happen.
No, and you're saying there's no precedent for this, is there?
No, there isn't.
I've never heard of a.
No matter what, we'll phrase it this way. But Ronaldo starts.
Yeah, someone's had a word, haven't they?
He's on probation.
Someone's had a word.
Well, FIFA have been able to price in the fact that he's a statesman of sport in terms of the hundreds of games that he's played for Portugal, his previous disciplinary record, and made a case for themselves.
Yeah,
and we might not like
but
it.
That's nonsense.
And we might not like it, but actually, Ronaldo is not the power and force that he was once before.
Yeah, but that's not the point, is it?
And I understand that, but whether we like it or not, that's what they've done. And if people of influence, rather than people talking on a radio show, want to do something about it, then they should object.
In terms of integrity and fairness, where does it sit with you?
Again, I have to. If we're going to make this case, have we seen a situation where a significant player of repute or of meaning to a no? Have we? Because how many times have we actually focused?
What do you want me to say?
Well, I don't know.
Off ones who haven't.
I've never focused on it before, so I don't know whether there's an example of players going into a tournament.
Is this right and proper?
Well, if it's in their rules and they're allowed to do it, then ultimately, yes. And if it's never been a question before, we never know if it's been done before, or if there's been a situation where someone has been prejudiced by not having it done for them. So if we've had a case where a major player's gone into the tournament and FIFA have gone, no, this 2-game ban upholds.
The only thing I can think of here that's remotely similar is when they shoehorned Inter Miami into the Club World Cup to allow Messi to play in the US in the Club World Cup. They wanted the big players there, and in Messi they got them there. Inter Miami were a late inclusion
in that wonderful tournament.
Now here, to put it mildly, FIFA have bent the rules to allow Ronaldo to play from the start. It's a 3-match ban, but it's really only a 1-match ban.
What does
Why?
Simon say? If it walks like a duck, sounds like a duck, it's a duck. But of course, they've done. Someone's had a word.
If the rules don't allow them to do it, then they can't do it.
They make their own rules, Si.
Or do they? Do they? So the all the federations that elect the leadership and ultimately abide by the governance of the game. So if FIFA make their own rules up, then there's no rules.
Basically.
But I don't think that's the case. I think clearly we all know what it is, which is engineering a situation where they want a very marketable asset to be in the tournament. In the same way they will seed the tournament in a certain way. Right?
We'll get to that.
And quite frankly, why wouldn't they? Every other bloody sport seeds it, so why shouldn't football be seeding it? It's the nature of the beast. We are in a world where broadcasters are the boss. You should appreciate that. So it shouldn't be any surprise in our little world that ultimately the value of the tournament gets seeded in the thinking.
Does it make it right?
Are there a lot of things right? Are we the moral arbiters of what's right and wrong?
This shouldn't happen. The bottom line is this is wrong. This should not happen.
But again, I have to...
No, sorry, Cristiano. You made a mess of it against the Republic of Ireland and you got yourself sent off. It's a 3-match ban and 3 means 3. But no, it doesn't.
Violent conduct.
But the question is, I agree with you, but the question is, did Portugal, for all we know, did Portugal put forward a compelling case? We know that people live in a world now where we're through the looking glass. We've seen Leicester, we've seen other teams getting away with what we know they've gotten away with because they've got very clever legal representation and ability to be able to argue their point. We don't know whether Portugal put forward a very compelling case to find an argument through FIFA's already tacit resistance. In the same way that UEFA took Manchester City to trial, won their case, and then went to the Court of Arbitration of Sport. And some would say they actually turned up the Court of Arbitration of Sport with a little bit less vigour in their step, because as far as they were concerned, they'd done their job.
Although Jim said it tongue-in-cheek, that there's a great...
I think we should be calling it out for what it is.
No, but you said tongue-in-cheek that he's been with Trump.
Yeah.
That could be the way. That could.
Oh, yes, Trump's picking the team now.
Picking the team? He picks up the phone and says, do something with that van.
Oh, come on. We actually believe that?
I'm not saying that's not that unrealistic.
Hang on, that's a different. That's an on-site
Let's put
argument.
it this way: if we go into the break with this thought in mind, say Harry Kane had been playing in that game against the Republic of Ireland, stuck someone with the elbow, and got sent off.
He's got 3 games.
But he's got 3 games. Do you think Infantino and his cronies would be like, no, let's try and get Harry in from the start?
But they've made a rod for their back now, haven't they?
Of course.
They've made a rod.
Of course they haven't.
But Jim,
of course they wouldn't. They wouldn't do that.
But the argument can now be actually turned on its head because they've now made a rod for their back. Because every country can now use that argument.
Yes.
Every time a player has been banned on the eve of a tournament, they'll be able to say the precedent has been set by FIFA, so you'll do the same here.
And
so
not
it might
only
work.
that,
I mean, obviously we've got to find a player for Scotland. That
whilst
worth
we're on
keeping.
this topic, we'll go on to the tinkering with the draw, which happens next month. You'll love this. Cristiano, good luck, because you're in. You didn't think you would, but you're in.
Welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
More about the World Cup very shortly. Let's get closer to home. In fact, tonight Arsenal host Bayern Munich in a top of the Champions League table clash. It's live on talkSPORT. Very keen to get the view from Germany now. German football broadcaster, good friend of ours, Konstantin Eckner, joins us live. Konstantin, good morning to you. Before we get to that, this Cristiano Ronaldo situation that he can now play in the first two games of Portugal's World Cup campaign in the US of A, even though he got a 3-match ban for being sent off against the Republic of Ireland. He served one match, but the other two are being passed over. I know it's been discussed over in Germany. Where are you at with it?
Yeah, it has been discussed, but it was like a reaction, basically. Yeah, no surprise that one of the biggest names in football will play in North America, in the United States. I mean, anything else would have been a surprise. So it was more like a no S reaction.
Right. Kind of behind closed doors, and it was done. It was agreed. That was it.
Yeah, I mean, the World Cup, it's more than ever an entertainment spectacle, so you don't want any irregularities to come in the way of preventing one of the biggest names in football playing his last international tournament. It's just how it is.
Talking about entertaining spectacles, are we going to see one tonight at the Emirates? Arsenal host Bayern, both sides 4 wins from 4. Arsenal yet to concede. I mean, who and what is going to give tonight, do you think?
That's an interesting question because both teams like to have possession, like to dominate in a bit of different styles, but still they like to dominate. My guess is that Bayern might have more of the ball, might be the more dominant side, but Arsenal are always so dangerous from set pieces, especially from corner kicks. And I mean, they've already scored 10 goals, so 41% of their goals in the Premier League came from set pieces. And Bayern played Freiburg, not the greatest team in the world, on Saturday. And they were behind 2 goals because they conceded twice after corner kicks. So it might be Bayern being dominant, but then Arsenal scoring thanks to Saliba or Timber.
What do you think if Vincent Kompany, Konstantin, can deliver a Champions League trophy with Bayern Munich? Will that put to bed those who claim that he's failed up to now as a manager?
I think so. I mean, even if he just reaches the Champions League final, I think it would silence his critics. I mean, in Germany, there are no critics left, basically. I think there are more critics in England because of his, especially like the back end of his spell at Burnley, where things went south pretty bad. That's why I think there are more critics in England compared to Germany, where he's just respected as one of the best coaches in the Bundesliga right now, which is saying something because there are talented managers in the Bundesliga.
Konstantin, what about team use tonight? How do you expect him to set up? There's talk of, obviously, this end from Arsenal's perspective, if he's going to rotate, if he's going to change players with Chelsea in mind at the weekend. From Munich's point of view, I think Diaz is suspended, is that right?
Yeah, Diaz is suspended because of the red card he saw against PSG, right. But then Leonard Carl will probably come in, and he's on fire. 17-year-old attacking midfielder from Bavaria, so a local boy, and one of the most exciting players in Germany right now. Maybe the next Jamal Musiala in a sense for Bayern Munich. He has one hell of a left foot.
Interestingly, Konstantin, Harry Kane has said it's, quote, very unlikely he'll leave Bayern Munich at the end of this season. He hasn't held any discussions, as far as we know, with the Bundesliga club on that thus far. In fact, before you come in, this is Harry on that.
Yeah, I spoke about this before. I'm quite open to staying longer. I think the way we are right now and the way we're playing, I feel like we're one of the best teams in Europe for sure. So I don't look at any other team and feel like, I want to go there and improve there. I think at the moment I'm really happy here, and I've got just over 18 months left on my contract, and look, I'm sure there'll be some discussions over the next couple of months on the future and what Bayern want to do, because also they got to want to do it if I was to extend. So all I can say right now is I'm really happy here, and I can't see anything changing in the near future.
He's not going anywhere, Constantine, is he? He's staying.
I believe so, yeah. I mean, there was a time when people around Bayern and inside Bayern expected him to maybe leave 1 year before his contract ends, so Bayern can at least get some money. But that perception has completely changed maybe a couple of months ago, maybe in the summer, maybe after the start of the season. So right now everyone is expecting Harry Kane to stay, especially because there are no signs of him slowing down. Sometimes you think like, he's in his 30s, you never know, maybe he's slowing down. No, he's better than ever, basically, because he's even more smarter in terms of how he plays and how he sets up chances, how he's get into the box, how he's interacting with teammates. I mean, this is the best Harry Kane ever, basically.
Constantine, very in a sentence, what we're going to see tonight from your perspective, what do you think? What's your hunch?
We will see an exciting Bayern Munich side. We will see Harry Kane, Lennart Karl putting it onto Arsenal, but we will see Arsenal maybe scoring after set piece, and it will be a 1-1 draw.
Excellent. That's why we love you, Constantine. Thank you so much. Arsenal Bayern Munich tonight. It's live on talkSPORT.
Does Manchester City's 2-0 defeat at home to Bayer Leverkusen ultimately prove the new Champions League format is working well. European football expert Kevin Hatchard certainly thinks so.
I think it shows that there's quite a lot of competition all the way down the Champions League, and if you are off it a bit, you can get caught out, and that's what happened.
Pep made 10 changes to his team last night, and former City midfielder Didi Hamann thinks we're seeing the beginning of the end.
Yeah, I don't think with Guardiola they win the Premier League or the Champions League again, because he's been there a long time, and you know, everything comes to an end at some stage.
Meanwhile, we've been waxing lyrical about the performance of Esteval last night after Chelsea's 3-0 thumping of Barcelona. Some are even comparing the 18-year-old to a young Cristiano Ronaldo. Alex Harris from Chelsea Fan TV says it's fair.
The hype is real, but I guess it's a question of how long it's going to go on for, and the longer that we're talking about Esteval, the more good things we're saying. So, I mean, he is worth it.
Meanwhile, it's not such a good look for Newcastle, who lost away at Marseille, courtesy of a 36-year-old Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who got man of the match. But Lee Clark is feeling positive about Eddie Howe's side.
This format should suit Newcastle, you know, with a great home form, and means we might need to go through a playoff scenario. And we've still got great belief. I think there was a lot of positives to take from last night.
Elsewhere, despite Coventry sailing into a 10-point lead at the top of the Championship, Frank Lampard says he's not looking at the league table. A 4-2 win away at Borough builds the gap as Stoke go second. And Super League new boys York Knights will kick off the new season on Thursday, the 12th of February, by hosting champions Hull KR. There's more, as ever, on talkSPORT.com.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+gambleaware.org.
It's time again. We're joined by Matt Gibson from BetMGM. We're going to look at what's going on, where in the odds round and about them. Now, Mr. Gibson, I think it's fair to say you had a nightmare last night, did you not?
Yeah, for a change. I think we were all kind of strong on Chelsea, maybe letting the English threefold down. But as producer Joe texts me at full time, Chelsea were the absolute banker of the three, weren't they? I wish Guardiola would have told us that he was making 10 changes before we started saying they were a sure thing against against Leverkusen. And you know, Newcastle 1-0 up, losing the game. I, again, just did not see that coming. Did not see that coming whatsoever. I think it's a really disappointing result for Newcastle. Manchester City, I'm not sure why he made all those changes. He's not got much to beat at the weekend, but fair play to Chelsea. They're absolutely brilliant. I think 3 wins, a draw and a loss in the group stage so far. Barcelona really struggling, dropped to 15th, but you know, fair play to Chelsea. They're really quickening in both Europe and domestically.
For sure. So tonight, Arsenal, Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur in action. So where are we going with this?
Well, I can tip up the English threefold again if you want, which is 19-1, but I'm not so keen on it, which, you know, could be a good thing based on my predictions last night. Arsenal Bayern's a really interesting one, isn't it? Couple of front runners in the league stage so far. I think I read this morning that 1 loss between them in 36 games so far this season. Arsenal have not conceded in the Champions League. However, Harry Kane could start for Bayern Munich, and his record against them, 15-21 in all comps against Arsenal, is pretty good. I wonder, gents, how both teams approach this. They don't really need to win this, do they? They're gonna be all right in the group stages. They're gonna qualify for the thick end of this competition. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of teams they put out. Yeah. Liverpool, I think, absolutely need to win, just for domestic confidence, if anything less. And Spurs, all right, people write them off. They are 13-2 outsiders, but they did go up in that in that Super Cup final, didn't they? So PSG aren't bulletproof. I wonder, fellas, what the approach, if the English teams are going to do a bit tonight, how do you think they'll play it?
Do you know, it's a good point Matt makes, Danny, because Arteta's bound to be thinking about the Chelsea game at the weekend.
Yeah, I think if he's got anyone who's got a little knock or might be a risk, he'll leave them out because of the fact they've got so many points on board. Whereas if it was a knockout, later in the tournament, you'd be going full in tonight. I still think he'll go strong. I think what you'll see is the game won't be as high tempo and high intensity, I don't think, as it probably would be if it was a knockout game, obviously.
Right.
Because a draw's not bad for either, really.
Can he rest Declan?
Yeah, could do. I don't. Depends where he's at physically. If he's got any knocks, or what you don't want to do is lose someone for a few weeks because they've got a few injuries anyway. Arsenal, you wouldn't know it because they keep winning games. But yeah, it'd be fascinating, and I think Tottenham is a big one tonight because they've got to show something in terms of. I don't think anyone thinks they're going to go there and win, but in terms of level of performance after the North London derby to get the fans back on side, they need to see a response.
Yeah, Danny's right, isn't he, Matt? I mean, Thomas Frank and Tottenham Hotspur go to PSG. It's going to be interesting how he sets that up.
What price are Spurs? Yeah. They must be huge.
Yeah, Spurs really chunky at 13-2. Lost 4 of the last 5 in all comps. I know they might not get a Paris and win, but you're right, Danny. The fans in person and on the telly tonight have got to see an upward trend. And I think the same can be said at Liverpool, but I do think they have to win. I think they have to get a result. PSV are not necessarily the strongest in this competition. They're not actually doing that well in it either. I think Liverpool will be driven by results. Do you think he throws Isak up there and says go and score a goal? I think Isak's only scored in the Carabao Cup potentially. He's not done anything in the Premier League and the Champions League so far. Do you think Isak starts from and he just says get up there and go and score?
No, I think Ekitike will come back in. I think he goes as strong as he can. Whoever's is the fittest, strongest possible team he has, because it's one game at a time.
Canate at centre-back? Talking to Charlie this morning, staunch Liverpool fan, as you know, and he was saying not necessarily sure if Canate is the guy. Joe Gomez potentially is the change around centre-back?
Possibly, because you take him out of the firing line, he's had a bit of stick from the fans, or you give him a kick up the backside and say, come on, get back to your best, put it right tonight. I think he'll do the latter. He doesn't seem to be
too important, isn't it?
Well, Gomez is a decent player, but he if you look at how many minutes he's had under slot, not sure he fancies him. So I think he'll give Canate a little rocket and get him back out there again.
Okay. Matt, let's turn our attention, albeit briefly, to the Championship. And when we do that, Coventry City. I mean, my God. And Frank, Coventry beat Middlesbrough 4-2. 10 points clear at the top of the Championship. I mean, it's a procession now, isn't it?
It's a really, really great story there. I mean, they are 2-5 to win the division. They're actually shorter to win the Championship than Arsenal are to win the Premier League. That's how highly we as bookies rate them. Really good performance last night. I don't know if you've seen Ellis Sims' goal at the Riverside. That is a hell of. But they're doing a fantastic job. Ipswich are quickening in behind at 9-2 to win the division. Borough, really big price, maybe not quite settled after Rob Edwards leaving, and there's a bit of a transitional period there. They've drifted right out to 18-1 to win the league, but we expect them to be in the top 6. But Jim, as you rightly say, mate, Frank Lampard doing a hell of a job at Coventry. If they have a good Christmas, mate, it's
just to put it in perspective, right? You might not be able to answer this, but you should be able to. What price were Coventry before the season started? Because they actually hardly spent a penny, did they?
I think they were double digits. I think they were sort of around the 10-12 mark. We had the relegated sides right up there. We had Sheffield United right up there, Danny. I think Sheffield United were 13-2, 6-1 or something at the start of the season. I think everyone thought Coventry would go okay, but no one, including the bookies, had them 10 points in front by December. Like if they have a really decent Christmas period, they can win this thing doing a moonwalk.
And Simon, Stoke are a good story, are they not?
Great story.
Because Mark Robbins, in charge of Stoke, sacked by Coventry. And we remember Doug King speaking to us, the owner, saying, very tough decision. Many of the fans loved Mark Robbins for what he was giving, but I'm taking the decision because it's time. Well, he was right.
Yeah, he was. As it stands right now, obviously it's going to be difficult to see Coventry falling off a cliff to the point that they don't get themselves promoted. I'm watching Ipswich because I think Ipswich are now coming, because I think Mark Ashton is an excellent chairman, and I think they've kept their manager, Kieran McKenna, who's an excellent manager. They lost some of their players like Liam Delap, but I still thought that Ipswich would be back up amongst it. They're now back up amongst it. They've got a game in hand, which if they win takes them potentially into second space. And that'll be an interesting watch to see if Ipswich can get back out of the division, because everything about Ipswich's model, from the way that they report their figures to the way they've run their club over the last 2 or 3 years, besides their ineffectivity last year in the Premier League, which they put down to physicality, because I was speaking to Kieran McKenna about it when I went to the Fabio Wardley fights up at Ipswich, lends you to believe this is a very well-run football club. So yes, brilliant for Frank.
Yeah,
brilliant set of outcomes. But I don't think anyone really I never really doubted Frank Lampard's ability to manage in the Championship, because we've seen him manage there before with Derby, and we know that he got Derby close when he was there. Back in the day when Mel Morris was running it. The question is, what happens when Frank gets into the elite leagues? Because all we associate Frank Lampard with is elite football, and the Championship, whilst the most competitive league, arguably, in world domestic football, because of the nature of the games, the physicality of it, and the amount that's there, and the difficulty getting out of the league, is still not the elite league. And so with that in mind, it'll be interesting to see if Coventry do get out and what they've done. But Doug King, walks into Coventry, he's had, FA Cup semi-finals, playoff semi-finals. This must be the staple diet that he thinks football involves.
Yeah, he's
fair play to him.
He's clearly loving it. Have we got any odds, Matt, as to how many points Coventry might win it by?
I think they're on track
down to that.
They're on track for 100, aren't they? I mean, I think us and Burnley were up there last year, and I don't know off the top of my head, but just having a guess, I do not think we were 40 points at this time last year. So, who holds the record? Is it Newcastle hold the record for, or is it Reading hold the record for Championship points? Something like 100.
How many were Leicester? Because at one point Leicester were flying, weren't they? Weren't Leicester at one point?
I don't think they did a ton.
No, but at this point, no. I mean, I don't think they did. But my point is, at the beginning of the season, took 15, 16 games in, I think Leicester had a huge amount of points.
I think more interestingly,
you were right, Matt. Reading, 106 points.
It would be amazing. It would be amazing if two teams went up who weren't two of the relegated teams on parachute payments.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of talk about you can't get back out of the Champions League. These parachute payments are so advantageous. Actually, what Stoke and Coventry are doing right now shows you can compete.
Yes, indeed. Matt, thank you very much indeed. Remember, visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Las Vegas, baby, on talkSPORT.
Now then, this is your chance to kick off 2026 by winning an epic trip to Vegas thanks to our friends at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. You and your best mate could be flying upper class from London to Vegas, checking into a luxury spa villa for 4 incredible nights at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. Cheering from the stands as the Raiders take on Kansas City Chiefs, and to top it all off, $5,000 in cash to enjoy while you're out there. Clear your calendar from January 2 to January 7th, 2026, because nothing starts the new year like Vegas. Good luck.
21 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text at £2 plus standard network rate. Bill payer's permission required. Or call 03434239761. Calls are charged at standard rate. All entries must be received by the 28th of November at 4 p.m. This is a network promotion. Run across talkSPORT, Virgin Radio UK and Talk. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
Simon and Danny are with me. I'm afraid we're going to look at a cup draw for all the wrong reasons this morning, what's left of it. Women's Super League clubs have been left angry over a lack of professionalism in their eyes during last night's League Cup quarter-final and semi-final draw, which included sexual references and a ball being mistakenly put back into the bag. The draw was hosted by influencer G.K. Barry and Portsmouth footballer Ella Rutherford. It was streamed live on TikTok. At one point, Barry pulled a ball out the bag, accidentally put it back into the bag, and then pulled it out again. During the sequence, Barry said, "Am I allowed to do that? I've done it now. It's too late. Oh, I picked up the same ball." Suffice to say, this was one mess. In a moment, we're going to speak to Telegraph football reporter, women's football reporter, Catherine Batty. But here's a sample of what I'm talking about.
Send a galaxy if you think I've got a bigger bum than Ella. We love a big doll. Yeah. These are my balls. Right here on show. Get a load of it. Usually I'd charge. Lesbian handling balls. Never been seen before. Sorry about the travel, sweethearts. What do we think? If anyone's turned on by me doing this, send a galaxy. Me wee hen. We should spank for luck. Bit of fun.
So that gives you a rough idea of what we witnessed. Telegraph women's football reporter is Catherine Batty, as I said. Catherine, no doubt you watched it live. This is part of what you do. What did you think of it?
It was unconventional, Jim. It's not like a cup draw I've ever seen before. Usually it's a little bit less chaotic, but it was actually quite hard to follow who had drawn who, which was obviously the main part of it. And I think that was one of the gripes of people watching as well, is that no one kind of really knew what was going on. I'm not sure the two hosts knew an awful lot about what was going on either. And it's obviously just not the best look for women's football. I mean, this is a cup competition that I think we struggle to get interest in anyway. You think of the Men's League Cup, it's a competition that people maybe don't get excited about until we get to the end. And with the women's, it's certainly people don't really get excited until they get to the final. So when you have a draw that kind of makes it look like a bit of a joke, it doesn't really help the competitions, in that sense, really. So it wasn't a great thing to witness.
And a bit of a joke, although, Catherine, the Women's Super League clubs aren't laughing. They're angry this morning, I believe.
Yeah, they are, because, like I say, it just reflects badly on the league. It makes women's football look unprofessional. I mean, obviously, if you're Tottenham, I think you'd probably be more unhappy given you were kind of on the receiving end of some of those jokes. But I think for all of the clubs that were sort of sat watching it, I think they just couldn't really believe what they were seeing. They all kind of buy into the fact that they've got to attract new audiences, and I understand that there's a big women's football audience on TikTok, and that younger fans might be there and they might want to watch because, GK Barry's a big influencer, and they understand the need for that, but they want the draw to be done professionally and properly, and it just felt like this wasn't the case with that.
Simon, do you think there's a danger that you lose face chasing after this TikTok generation?
Well, first and foremost, I don't think we should compare what happens in women's football to what happens in men's football, because I think that's an unfair comparison. If we're judging it by the standards of men's draws, we can look at Rod Stewart half cup when he did a draw once. We can look at the crassness of what she said and say, well, it's not really necessary. We can look at the fact that we are constantly suggesting that the audience that watches women's football is a very different dynamic, has a very different feel to it, and a very different approach that is required towards it. We've seen it in recent examples of the way that broadcasters seem to think that ultimately things need to be broadcast on certain. We saw Sky the other day making a Horlicks of their Halo version of broadcasting.
Yeah.
So I think they have to be careful about what they do. But I'm not that massively offended by it. I mean, I don't know why the clubs would be, because they probably want to be taken very seriously and take themselves very seriously. And they think it was a little bit lightweight and crass. But whether we like influencers or we don't, whether we think that they have a place in broadcasting, you can make this argument about Jake Paul. What does he have a place in? He has a place at the top table in boxing now. So we have to be balanced in our view. But yeah, it's not my cup of tea. Sometimes I feel we sit here like Waldorf and Stadler, from the Muppets on the balcony looking down on this situation.
Steptoe and Son, more like.
No, not Steptoe and Son. Well, we can imagine what you Hercules the horse then.
Do you think there's a space, Catherine, for these so-called influencers in the women's game?
Yeah, I actually don't think the issue was with GK Barry doing the draw. I think it was just how the draw was conducted, and maybe that she potentially hadn't been briefed on what to say and what not to say and what to do and what not to do in terms of not putting a ball back into a bag. I remember Serge from Kasabian and Noel Gallagher doing the men's FA Cup draw, a while ago, and that was quite fun to watch, and it was a bit different. So I don't think the issue was necessarily who was doing the draw. I think it was just that it was a little bit chaotic and it didn't seem to have any kind of structure. And like I say, I agree with Simon. I think, there is clearly a place and for influencers and trying to get to this, new audiences, but I think maybe they just needed a little bit of direction. And obviously the main point of a draw is to know who's going to play who, and I feel like we kind of lost that a little bit, and I think that's maybe where the anger comes from. And I think maybe also because of some of the digs that were made at clubs throughout the process, and potentially that there's a lot of people that work in women's football that maybe would have liked that opportunity, that might, have known a little bit more about how to sort of go about doing it. But like I say, I don't think GK Barry doing the draw was the issue. I think it was more kind of what came out of it.
Is the ball going back in the bag after being pulled out a contentious one? Is there people still asking questions about that?
I think because she pulled the same one out, I think she was lucky in that sense. If she'd have pulled a different ball out, then they would have had to have restarted it and done it again. So it was quite lucky that when she put it back in, she did actually bring the same one out. I don't think it's contentious in the sense of, look, obviously people online seem to think that the draw is fixed. I don't think that is the case. The big teams avoid each other. I think that's just, that just happens in draws. I just think she forgot what she was doing. So rather than putting the ball to the side, she just put it back in the bag. And thankfully she did pick out the same one, because like I say, if otherwise they would have had to have restarted it.
Do you know what, Jim? I've done a couple of draws, FA Cup ones in the past. And they're that rigid on the rules and stuff. You have to do a proper rehearsal.
Yeah.
You can't just turn up and go.
I've been there.
Honestly.
You can't walk and talk and chew gum at the same time, can you? So pulling a ball out of the bag and putting it somewhere is difficult.
No, you're absolutely right, Danny. I've been there for Sky. Danny will draw the home team. Simon will draw the away teams. The integrity of the draw is at stake in moments like this, Catherine. That's the whole point. Do you think we'll see influencer GK Barry and Portsmouth footballer Ella Rutherford back to do a similar draw at some time in the future?
Maybe, but I'd be surprised if they ever did the FA Cup draw. I think the FA would probably have other ideas. But maybe Subway think it went really well because they've got loads of publicity out of it, which they probably wouldn't have had otherwise. So maybe they might get them back next year. You never know.
Actually, to finish with, Catherine, I'm looking at some of the messages coming in. You guys are overlooking it here. The sexual innuendo involved. How was that acceptable? I think that's a point, and that's a serious point, is it not?
It is, yeah. And listen, I think when you're appealing to younger, generations of fans as well, that's something to consider. But I think that is part of GK Barry's persona, and I think she's just being herself. So when they've booked her, they probably need to say, and look, I know she's an adult and she can probably read into what she should and shouldn't say as well, but that is part of who she is. And somebody needed to brief her and say, look, you can have a laugh and a joke, but sort of this is the line and don't cross it. Whereas clearly, I don't think that was communicated to her.
Okay. Catherine, thank you very much indeed. Catherine Batty, Telegraph Women's Football reporter. You're right, Danny. There's serious moments, those cup draws. And you can feel the tension in the room when the draw is being made, whatever the draw, Scottish Cup, FA Cup, whatever, the League Cup. It gets fairly serious. What are you looking at me like that for? You presumably have never been asked.
I have. I've done a drawing here with you. Or whatever it was, I can't remember.
Oh, he did. He's right. He's right. We did a drawing here. It will come back to me.
Yes,
and I remember it well because you made a hash of it.
Over 60s paddle championship.
That was the one. I will draw the over 60s paddle contestants. The home
south of the river.
The home player first. Anyway, back to the drawing board for the Women's Super League clubs. We'll see who gets who in the next round. Who knows? Maybe one of us three will be asked to do the draw. Maybe.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With the headlines at 2 minutes past 12, I'm Tom Clayton. Good afternoon. Some breaking news in the last half an hour. The man accused of driving into Liverpool fans at their Premier League title parade has changed his plea and admitted all the charges against him. It means the trial of Paul Doyle has been ended on its second day, and he's now awaiting sentencing for 31 offences. He injured more than 130 people who were between 6 months and 77 years old. Elsewhere today, a former Manchester City midfielder has made a bold claim after last night's 2-0 home defeat to Leverkusen.
I think with Guardiola they win the Premier League or the Champions League again, because he's been there a long time and you know, everything comes to an end at some stage.
That's Didi Hamann speaking to talkSPORT this morning. Simon Jordan isn't totally against it.
I'm inclined to have a degree of agreement with it, not just because I'm jumping on a bandwagon, but I think that Man City have lost that lustre. They've lost that image of being unbeatable and unplayable against.
Meanwhile, there's been talk about Esteval after a hugely impressive display against Barcelona last night, but Enzo Maresca is calling for calm about the teenager and the squad as a whole. Danny Murphy says he's right to be cautious.
He's seen them be brilliant one week and then poor the next. He's living in reality.
Yeah.
Fans will soon see through if you start making silly, bold comments.
This evening, it's the turn of Arsenal, Liverpool and Spurs in the Champions League. Will be at all 3 games across the talkSPORT network. And the WSL is set to make an apology to Spurs after an influencer made a joke about them during the Women's League Cup quarter-final draw. Concerns have been raised over GK Barry's professionalism and also about the legitimacy of the draw. Get more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
More people could end up paying income tax or contributing more if thresholds are frozen in today's budget, and farmers are unhappy with planned changes to inheritance tax and they're protesting in London. More of them are at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. For a limited time only, get 15% off a set of 4 selected premium tyres. Don't miss out and book today at quickfit.com and drive away happy every time. Conditions apply.
Brighter skies developing later, but cloud in the west with outbreaks of rain.
Good afternoon, everybody. 5 minutes past 12 noon. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT Wednesday lunchtime. Wednesday, November the 26th. And of course, as we head into December, early in the month of December, it is a draw for the World Cup finals themselves. And we are going to be looking at that before we go at some stage today, because the draw itself, big questions being asked about the integrity of the draw after one or two things that FIFA have done, a wee bit tinkering around that. In the meantime, let's look to an event that's much closer to home tonight, and it's live on talkSPORT 2. It is Liverpool up against PSV Eindhoven. It is the Champions League. But what kind of Liverpool are we going to see? What kind of result are Liverpool going to get? One of their own is in the studio with Simon and myself, of course. Danny, a long-time Liverpool player, loves the club dearly, and why shouldn't he after what he contributed to the football club? But these days, somewhat unexpectedly, after 8 defeats in 11 across all competitions, Arne Slot will be hoping to guide Liverpool back to winning ways this evening as they host, as I say, PSV Eindhoven live on talkSPORT 2. The big question, I think, Danny, is how much worse could it be allowed to get at Liverpool before it gets better? We'll come to that in a second, but this is what Slot says pre-match.
How I would describe that as ridiculous almost. Something I didn't expect to be in. Not at any club I was ever going to work at, let alone if you play at Liverpool. If you not play, I wish I played. If you manage Liverpool. So that is unbelievable. I've said many times over here, you cannot find, if you even can find an excuse, you will never find enough excuses to make it that you perform like this. So that's unexpected for the club, for me, for everyone. And but I'm also working at a club. If there's ever a club you need to face this, maybe this is the best club to face it, because the harder it gets at a club like this, the more we are together, the more we are trying to achieve the things that Liverpool usually achieves.
Unexpected, Danny. Yep. We know that. Unacceptable. Yeah, we know that as well, Arnie. So where are the answers, do you think? Where are the answers? When are the answers going to start coming? Because it doesn't get any better. A 3-0 home defeat to Forest at the weekend, the 12th in the Premier League. It's been more positive in the Champions League, we'll say that. They beat Real Madrid last time out, the 9th with 3 wins and 4. But nobody saw this coming. But what's he going to do to change it?
Well, you got to work, keep working on the training ground, keep working on it if you ever change the shape or improve the shape. I think his biggest issue now is the decisions he's got to make regarding some of the bigger players, whether it be Salah, whether it be like some McAllister, people, players who've done well for him last season. Anybody who he feels isn't doing the job needs to be left out. And he needs to get a team that defends better and is more compact and more worried about not conceding and scoring for a few weeks. Forget scoring and trying to win games. Be really hard to beat. Get back to that.
Don't concede.
And that means picking players who are physically good. So you're looking at the data, with the training, with the games. You're looking at who's training well. And forget keeping people happy or how much you signed someone for. Just pick the best team that can defend for you.
I'm going to get to some comments of Graham soon. Just before we go to it, in terms of a starting 11, who would you leave out that maybe people wouldn't expect to be left out?
I'd leave Salah out. He'd probably be the main one. I'd definitely get Robbo back in permanently for a while. Kirkez is struggling. I'd leave Isak out. Doesn't look ready physically. Probably in the midfield, I'd go for legs, so probably leave McAllister out for a couple of weeks.
Right.
He's a wonderful player, don't get me wrong, and he's been brilliant, but he missed pre-season.
But that's more than a few you've thrown at us here. I want to get your reaction to this, Danny. This perceived vacuum of leadership at Liverpool right now, and Souness was on it.
The players that have been down the road, they know what's expected at Liverpool, they know the demands that's put on them at that football club by their supporters. That's where I'd be looking. You're right. I think but listen, you can look at it this way. Are they as good as we thought they were? Maybe not. People that were talking about being great players, are they really great players? Because now you find out about great players. Now the people who really, really matter at a football club. You only need one out and out leader. One. And then you've got the ones that will dodge in and out of being a leader. And they join that one. And all of a sudden you've got a very strong dressing room. Who's that man now?
He pointed the finger, Danny, at the players, not so much Arne Slot, the players. And along the lines of, right, who's up for it?
I tend to agree with that. If you did it on a percentage basis, I'd say the players have got a bit more responsibility than Slot, because we know that a lot of those players are better than what they're showing. You could actually make a case that the only player who's hit the heights of last season's Szoboszlai, and to say only probably one, maybe one or two others somewhere near, but him being the only one. And of the new signings, only Ekitike has made an impression. So he's right. I mean, as ultimately the players cross the line, and you have to find your level and hold yourself accountable. The manager picks the formation, he picks the team, but yeah, who's going to stand up and be counted when the chips are down and when the pressure's on? I mean, who's going to get on the ball? Who's going to make things happen? Who's going to be? You don't have to be a leader verbally. I mean, probably the best leader I ever played. I played under Beckham very temporarily at England, but he just set this example with his work ethic and his quality. Doesn't always have to be that. Doesn't always have to be shouting and bawling at people and looking like you're trying to lead. It's leading with your play.
Yeah. Jamie Carragher took us into quite a controversial area, Danny. He accused of Mo Salah of only speaking when he needs a new contract or wins man of the match. And he did not miss there. A year ago this weekend, he says Mo Salah wasn't shy in speaking about his own situation and the club not offering a new contract. I only ever hear Salah speak when he gets man of the match or when he needs a new contract. I would like to see Salah, as one of the leaders and legends of Liverpool, come out and speak for the team.
Fair enough. Strong, but fair.
Is it? Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't heard from him, and we should be. Robbo did an interview the other day. He's inside of Van Dijk.
And say what? Just out of curiosity. And say what?
Well, even if you say,
but nobody's thought Mohamed Salah was a leader on the field. They thought he was a great player. And the argument Souness was making was his hiding. I didn't think it was hiding on the weekend. I just thought some of his output wasn't good enough.
Yeah,
but I thought he made himself available for the ball and he attacked.
The problem with Salah is I don't think he hides. I think he's just his defensive.
But if you get Salah, this argument, you get Salah out on front of the press and say what? And what's the sort of presenter? Because we're not talking about.
Well, if he comes out and
he's going to say something to Virgil van Dijk, not good enough. We should do better, right? But the real issue, what Carragher's making is about Salah's performance. So let's see the journalists and have the balls to turn around and say, "Well, what about you? And what about your performance?"
That's what. Yeah, but they
won't. So we got Salah out there. So Carragher will say, "We want Salah."
They won't. He hasn't been out there to be asked.
But they won't. Has anyone gone after Virgil van Dijk for his performances when he's not been when he's
did you
spoken?
not see him and Rooney having it out on the pitch after a game?
Sure, Rooney. One instance where Virgil van Dijk pushed back against what Wayne said and contradicted it, and ultimately said, "You don't know what you're talking about." But as a rule, most of the time, what we're saying is a post-match interview with a player coming out and saying something, and they want Salah to do it. I don't understand what that achieves.
I wouldn't hesitate for one moment to look at Mo Salah and say, "Why are you underachieving it?"
Well, if he comes out and says, "Look, my levels haven't been good enough," he might even give you a reason why, or he says, "I know I need to do more, and I'm working on it. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, blah blah blah." As long as it's a positive, you can show he cares. He gives it. The fans see it and go, "Do you know what? Yeah,
yeah."
So for the optics of it,
he owns the situation.
Yeah, the optics, and actually get to go. God, that's good to hear from Mo Salah saying that.
Well,
he's addressing his own deficiencies.
Right.
He's actually coming out and saying, "Don't worry, I'm on this."
Well, this was Souness's take on Salah of the moment.
He's been an absolute superstar. This is the nicest thing I can say about Salah. He's been the go-to man for the last 7 years. He gets in if you're picking an all-time Liverpool 11, he's one of the first names on the team sheet. I think it's his brother that's turned up this season. He's shown lack of appetite. And I'm sorry, hard words sometimes are the kindest words. And I think he needs hard words that ultimately will get him back to being the superstar that he's been for Liverpool. But this season, he has not turned up.
It's not him, it's his brother who's shown up at the moment.
Well, I mean, he's set this wonderful high bar for himself where the level of his performance is so good that as soon as he drops below it, he's going to be criticised. And when you're not scoring and doing what he does so brilliantly, the other parts of his game become magnified, which is defensive work and lack of, which is poor. Now, it doesn't matter that it's poor when Liverpool are winning and he's banging in goals.
Yeah.
When he's not doing that, the focus becomes on what else is he doing for the team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Graham's right. I think he's got to do more. He's got to find the desire to push himself more. Physically, he looks fine. Still looks sharp. Gets in behind and he gets by people. He's had plenty of chances. I think he's got to do more work that way.
I mean, fronting up to the cameras, Simon, I would have thought it's a form of leadership, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just not following the point behind the message that Jamie's wanting to impart. Because ultimately, you would hear from Mo Salah when he gets man of the match because someone's sticking a bleeding award in his hand and he's having to speak about it.
But if he plays tonight from the start, they might put him up before.
Well, let's put it this way. So if I was in the dressing room and back then Stevie was captain, if he was having to go out every week, there'd be a time where I'd go, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Or Didier Mann would go, leave it, I'll do it. You've had to do 6 this week.
So when we saw this endless procession of Manchester United players that came trotting out into the media with their formulaic rubbish, with Harry Maguire telling everybody that they know that they've let the club down, Bruno Fernandes saying they know they've got to do better. Did that give us some great window of insight into the leadership capabilities of these players?
But you might not get a window of insight and it might be fluff and it might be crap, but we don't know. Whereas when someone comes out and at least gives you something, like Robertson's interview after the Scotland qualification gave us a lot about him. And all of a sudden the fans go, didn't realise he was still suffering and he's still thinking about that, And it's not just that, because that's obviously a big thing, but Mo could come out. Yeah. He's a legend. The fans love him. He could come out and appease a little bit or take some blame himself. Do whatever. Just put yourself out there. Doesn't have to be every week. Just the odd little... I'll take it off your verge for a week. Don't worry about it. All you're doing is getting thrown in front every time. That's why Robbo did the Sky one yesterday.
Yesterday.
We heard Souness earlier in the week, and he said it, this vacuum of leadership. I mean, Liverpool fans ahead of this game tonight, and by God, this is important. Do you agree with Souness that there is a vacuum of leadership within this group at this moment? And on Salah, I mean, Souness put it in his own vernacular. that his brother has shown up for the team this season, thus far. Not Salah, who is a club legend, would get into any team of similar legends that was to turn out for Liverpool. Yes, but what about Salah now? Would you wish to hear from him? Maybe tonight, pre-match. You might want to give us a call on that. So much rides on this tonight. 03717 223344 81089.
And welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it! Oh!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
It's Jim Wynett, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco. It's where the trade goes. We're focusing our attention on Danny's former club Liverpool, who really need to win tonight in the Champions League at home to PSV Eindhoven My goodness, they do. And for some reason, obviously, they have been misfiring on a number of occasions, specifically domestically. The last game, of course, was against Nottingham Forest at Anfield as recently as the weekend, as recently as Saturday, and they lost by 3-0 at home. How did they turn it round? Almost inevitably, Danny, and I know you can cope with this. Simon certainly can, I'm sure. There's a message coming, and I was thinking about, I wonder whether I should bring it to air, and I will. There's no name on this, but thanks for sending it, whoever sent it. The death of Diogo Jota will be having an effect. The league is so competitive. It really is about fine margins. They won't say it, though, because the media will call this an excuse. But Diogo was their best friend. Danny knows the dressing room and will know about this. Do you want to touch on that for us, Danny?
Well, I think obviously certain players who were really close with him, that's absolutely fair. I mean, there's no measurement of grief. There's no way there's no individual that deals with it the same way as someone else. It can stay with different people for a long time. It can motivate people or demotivate. It really depends. So we can't measure that impact. There's absolutely no doubt certain players would have been affected by it. And I think even if mentally, but physically at the club, when that happened, pre-season stopped. A lot of players miss pre-season anyway. I think 4 or 5 of them miss pre-season. So then they re-engage in pre-season and start again with that grief and with that loss. That's inevitably going to have an impact physically, even before we start talking about the mentally. And I think if you look at Liverpool's performances compared to last season, physically, they look well off. So there's got to be a correlation. But then you could argue none of the new signings have got that emotion. So what's their excuse? You know, there's some players will be feeling it, yes, and you have to take into consideration, there's no doubt. You know, I just mentioned Robertson's interview.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
He's still affected by it, obviously. But does it motivate you and galvanise you, or does it demoralise you and drain your energy? There's no correct answer to that. So we can't gauge it. But yes, you'd be naive to think there wasn't some impact from it, of course.
There's validity to what Danny says there, Simon. You've touched on it on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know, Simon. I envisage a situation in that dressing room now and again that one player might have said to another, I tell you who wants us to start performing better.
Well, yeah, that's the old Tynet side of the argument, isn't it? You know, I mean, the challenges that people have to overcome in these moments are very difficult, and emotions play a huge part. But there's always a part of me that feels like that you want to respect and honour the memory, not perhaps use it as a reason for not being able to achieve something the following season. Now, I'm not suspecting that any of the Liverpool players are verbalising that, but people are verbalising it on their behalf. We've just seen a listener.
There's a few messages
do that.
Yeah.
There's always this part of me, having been on, seen grief in my life and seen challenges in my life, that feels that to be an elite sportsman, you have to overcome adversity. And this adversity is a significant one, but the club goes forward. It's had great moments of adversity in the past. And I feel that, without wanting to be too harsh, this mustn't be priced into the thinking as to the reasons why Liverpool aren't achieving. If you want to give them that, then you by all means give it that.
Yeah.
But I think most of these players would want to honour. I mean, you saw Andy Robertson's response to the Scotland win and talking about conversations he had with Jota. But Andy Robertson was supercharged and highly motivated and focused on Scotland achieving something. And it didn't stop him from wanting to be part of that. And what he was doing was celebrating and reminding the conversations that he'd had with his lost colleague and how emotional it would be at that moment for him.
Yeah.
But he wasn't suggesting that somehow it had disadvantaged him or taken anything away from him. My personal view is, if I had a tragedy like that and I wanted to remember my friend, it would be because I wanted to remember him by achieving things in his name and in his honour. And not as a result of not being able to achieve things, people being able to say it's because of this tragedy that people aren't achieving. I think that's how I would be looking at it.
I think somebody's intention to want to do that, though, isn't always as easy as just having the intention of doing it. So there could be physical or emotional impact on yourself that you struggle with, even though your intention is to not struggle.
Yeah. I look at the PSV Eindhoven team. For those who don't know, PSV lead the way in the Eredivisie. So they're no pushover.
No.
The only player I recognise in that starting 11 at the weekend, I think they went to NEC Breda and they won 1-0. Ivan Perisic is still doing his stuff.
Is he? Yeah.
And is in their starting lineup.
This ain't about them though. This Liverpool, look, the only advantage of playing a team that's half decent and top of their league is they're not gonna sit in. I wouldn't imagine they'll try and play the right way.
I mean, this is the Liverpool side that was quite capable of dealing with Real Madrid.
Yeah, what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks,
and quite capable of dealing with Eintracht Frankfurt.
That's right.
So let's get it into perspective and let's look at the players and get them to start, doing their levels that they should be and honouring the memory of their friend and not having it as a conversation piece that other people advance on their behalf. Perhaps these are the reasons why they aren't performing in certain games.
Yeah. Martin Keown sat in the studio down to finish with the other day with Simon and myself and said, when you look at it, there's not a lot wrong with Liverpool that you can't put right. Is that accurate or is there?
There's quite a few things wrong, but they can all be put right because they've got quality and they've got the players who can change the momentum and dynamic of where the season's going.
So what's Slot's final words to them tonight as they go out?
I think tonight is all about the work ethic, the tenacity, the running, the eagerness to win the ball back, to defend your goal. That's the full focus. Don't even talk about the attacker. That'll look after itself.
Yeah.
Shape, legs, second balls, headers, tracking runners. You look at some of the Forest attacks. People letting people run off them, and that can't happen.
Danny, I know what your heart says to you. What's your head telling you tonight?
I think they'll win. I think they'll overrun them in the first half because after the 3-0 loss at home at Anfield, it'd be impossible not to get a positive reaction. I just can't. The intensity of Liverpool in that first half should be enough.
Okay. Liverpool against PSV Eindhoven live on talkSPORT 2. It's 12:30.
Does Manchester City's 2-0 defeat at home to Bayer Leverkusen ultimately prove the new Champions League format is working well? European football expert Kevin Hatchard certainly thinks so.
I think it shows that there's quite a lot of competition all the way down the Champions League, and if you are off it a bit, you can get caught out, and that's what happened.
Pep made 10 changes to his team last night, and former City midfielder Didi Hamann thinks we're seeing the beginning of the end.
Yeah, I don't think with Guardiola they win the Premier League or the Champions League again, because he's been there a long time, and you know, everything comes to an end at some stage.
Meanwhile, we've been waxing lyrical about the performance of Esteval last night after Chelsea's 3-0 thumping of Barcelona. Some are even comparing the 18-year-old to a young Cristiano Ronaldo. Alex Harris from Chelsea Fan TV says it's fair.
The hype is real, but I guess it's a question of how long it's going to go on for, and the longer that we're talking about Esteval, the more good things we're saying. So, I mean, he is worth it.
Meanwhile, it's not such a good look for Newcastle, who lost away at Marseille, courtesy of a 36-year-old Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who got man of the match. But Lee Clark is feeling positive about Eddie Howe's side.
This format should suit Newcastle, you know, with a great home form, and means we might need to go through a playoff scenario. And we've still got great belief. I think there was a lot of positives to take from last night.
Elsewhere, despite Coventry sailing into a 10-point lead at the top of the Championship, Frank Lampard says he's not looking at the league table. A 4-2 win away at Borough builds the gap as Stoke go second. And Super League new boys York Knights will kick off the new season on Thursday, the 12th of February, by hosting champions Hull KR. There's more, as ever, on talkSPORT.com.
Now then, I'm sure you'll be pleased to hear that the talkSPORT Darts Trophy is back for 2025. Join H&J on Wednesday, December the 10th from 1 o'clock as 8 talkSPORT presenters go head-to-head on the hockey. This year, bigger and better with 2 talkSPORT promotion companies managing the talent. And when I say talent, you know, Alan Brazil, Ali McCoy, Jeff Selling are heading up Tipple 20 Promotions, who have defending champion Dean the Storyteller Saunders, Natalie the Destroyer Sawyer, Gabby the Gab Father Agbon Lahore, and Jamie the Chunk O'Hara. They're up against our Flight and Jordan Limited. See what they did there?
Why's my name involved?
You're not in it. Whose stable includes Drive Time's Andy Galeforce Goldstein and Darren the Truth Bent, plus Jermaine the Saint Pennant and Jason One Bull Cundy. Tune in to Drive today at 5:30, where world number 1 and world champion Luke the Newt Littler will conduct the draw. There you go. Right, where's the name of Danny Murphy?
Can't do it, Jim.
No. Yep.
Too busy with proper work.
There you go, Danny. There you go. Were you approached,
Yes.
Simon? And? We know the answer. I tell you what, from darts of sorts, let's head into the world of boxing, because British light heavyweight Anthony Yarde's third attempt to win a world title ended in defeat over the weekend at the hands of this destruction machine, WBC champion David Benavidez in Saudi Arabia. Benavidez sent Yarde to the canvas in the 7th. After getting back up, Yarde couldn't respond to another heavy barrage from Benavidez, and the referee called it all off. We're delighted to say we're going to speak to Frank Warren, promoter of Anthony Yarde, in just 1 second. But Simon, on your top boxing this week, Paul Smith launched an attack on those who continue to be in and around Anthony Yarde.
I said years ago, Simon, I said years ago, it's all on record, Anthony Yarde needs to get away from Tunsey and the team and the setup there as quick as he can, because he's the best in that gym. He's the best around there. Now, you want to be a champion, you want to be a world champion, go and train with people who've won world titles, or work with people who are on that level. And if you're the best in the gym, change gyms. I've always said this, if you're the smartest in the room, change rooms. And you know that more than anyone.
Absolutely.
I said this years ago. Now, if he does finally decide, he should have done it years ago, but if he does finally decide to go and do it and make the change, he was number 4 in the Ring Magazine rankings going into that fight. He's certainly not like right down at the bottom of the pecking order. He is probably just one win away from being back in the mix, so to speak.
Frank Warren joins us live. Frank, good afternoon. You heard Paul Smith there. Is that what it's going to take to project Anthony Yard to world champion status, that he changes the team around him?
Well, he's been there 3 times. He's challenged 3 times, and certainly didn't work out on Saturday. Look, you know, I don't know what he's going to do next. That's his choice. He makes his, you know, he's the fighter, and fighters decide who their trainer's going to be. That's their choice. So that's where we are, and he'll do whatever he feels and needs to do. You know, he's not just his trainer, Tunde's also his manager. But he just wasn't at the races on Saturday. I know he got hit when he was on the floor, and he got caught a few times when he was on the floor, and that's why the referee took away points. But for me, there was just, you know, he just didn't have the venom in his punches, you know, from the start. And, you know, when he did take the centre of the ring, when he was throwing straight shots, when he was letting go, he was having some success. But once he kept going to the ropes, and when he was on the ropes, he was getting caught because he had nowhere to go. He just didn't have an answer to that. And it was a great shame. You know, he's been a great fighter certainly from where he's come from, only having 12 amateur fights. But Saturday, I just thought he just didn't look. He was there to me. There was no venom in the punches that he was throwing.
Simon, you heard Frank. Are you in Paul Smith's camp when it comes to this?
Well, I can't make a case for Anthony Yard on the weekend because I was so surprised at what I saw. I mean, everybody expected Anthony Yard to make a very serious fight of this. Everyone knew that it was a very difficult fight with Benavidez, but most people expected Anthony to start relatively fast because that's what he does. And the bigger concern was that Anthony Yard, atypically against the bigger fighters, the better fighters, and Beterbiev and Kovalev, gassed. So for Tunde to come out in an interview with Steve Bunce after the fight and turn around and suggest that they were waiting to go to the second half of the fight, pretty much gobsmacked everybody. And the performance from Anthony Yard, given what we'd heard from Anthony and how we expected, and given that even to the fact that he walked into a ring with the soundtrack from the film Legend about the Krays coming a weary for a shootout and did precisely the opposite, astounded everybody. So I think there's validity in what Paul has to say. Obviously, there's a little bit of rancor between Paul and Tunde because Tunde's had a few things to say in the past about Paul's brother and some other bits and bobs. But I don't think that he's wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong in what Paul said about perhaps Anthony Yard, if he's going to be taken to a world title. And let's be clear, Frank has put Anthony Yard into 3 world title fights, and there was 18 months ago was having an issue with Tunde and Anthony about his contract and how Queensberry represented him. So Frank's given him his opportunity. This was the 3rd time of asking, and it was probably the worst performance from Anthony. So I realised the opposition was great, but I was seriously disappointed. I expected much more from Anthony Yard in that fight, and I got the polar opposite of what I expected.
I mean, it was Yard's 3rd attempt at a world title shot, Frank. Do you think that's 3rd and final attempt?
Look, anything can happen in boxing. You know, one fight can turn your career around. But he's 34 years of age now. He's no youngster as far as boxing is concerned. I was quite surprised myself in the fight. You know, and as for coming in the second half of the fight, I don't know about that. I'm a big believer in boxing that you establish superiority as quickly as you can, and he certainly. You know, if he'd have done that in his first fight against Kovalev, he would have won that fight. He had him in all sorts of trouble, but he left it too late and he punched himself out. He was one punch away from winning the title. If he'd done it early on in the fight, he'd have won it. But this past Saturday, he just didn't get going. He didn't get going at all. But as I say, if you watch the fight back, when he took centre of the ring and pushed Benavidez back on his back foot, he was having success. But there was no, I expected more power from the jab and letting his right hand go with power, and it wasn't. It was like it was going sort of through the motions at sometimes in the fight.
Right. And we know one fellow who will not go through any motions. He'll get to the point quickly, is Moses Atoma. And he puts his unbeaten record on the line. He faces the American Jermaine Franklin in Manchester, January 24th. Looking ahead to that, what's your gut feeling here, Frank? You've unearthed a gem, haven't you? I know Francis looks after him, but is there anyone out there that could compete with Moses?
Well, we'll see. Look, he's not going in with any schmuck on the 24th of January in Manchester. He's 27 fights. He only lost 2, and the 2 fights he lost were a couple of years ago, and that was to 2 British fighters. One was AJ, who's the double world champion, Olympic gold medalist, and he went the distance with him. And the second fight was against Dillian Whyte, who a lot of people felt it was a very close fight. Some people felt that he won the fight. So this is going to be a tough fight, but no one's stopped this guy, and he actually believes in himself. Jermaine, I've spoken with him, and he really thinks this can be his fight. So we'll see. Just take one fight at a time, and we'll see what happens. But this will be a big test for him. Can he do what nobody else has managed to do? What 27 other opponents haven't managed to do?
Talking about believing in himself. Do you think Jake Paul believes in himself when it comes to standing up to AJ?
Look, it is what it is. The fight, I'm not going to stand here or sit here, I should say, and justify it, whatever. It is, they're getting paid a truckload of money. Can you blame AJ for taking it? No, you can't. Can you blame Jake Paul, who's only had 12 fights? He's had no amateur fights, for stepping up and the amount of money he's going to make from it, monetising his notoriety and what he's, where he is in the world. I suppose no. I mean, but on paper, AJ will have to gone seriously backwards to lose the fight.
If your man Tyson Fury had been offered the fight, would you try and make it, Frank?
Look, the monies that are being bandied about here for these fights, how do you expect the fighter to turn it down?
That's a point Frank makes, isn't
it? He may get the same money or less money for fighting, for somebody who's an established boxer at a higher level, who's could punch his head in. He's fighting a guy. They're fighting, or in AJ's case, he's fighting a guy who is a cruiserweight, and before that was fighting at light heavyweight. Now, I'm not saying cruiserweights haven't come up in the past, but they're guys who've got tremendous experience. So I can't criticise someone for taking what they probably may feel, may be wrong, I don't know, but an 8-rounder against a guy who's never fought at that level. I mean, what do you expect him to do?
Yeah, Frank, briefly, do we expect to see Tyson again in 2026?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I'm not. Until he makes his decision, which won't be until next year. I can't say definitely, but I do feel that could happen next year. If he wants to do it, basically, if he wants to do it. I mean, tomorrow he may say he will, he may say he won't. And we'll see what happens. And I'll tell you what, on Saturday, you may got to give Sam Noakes a mention. Sam Noakes fought brilliantly.
He did.
Showed he's world class. He was up there. He was very unlucky. He got hampered by a cut, a really bad cut. He had 9 rounds with that bad cut. And I generally felt if he hadn't sustained that, it may have been a different decision. He fought extremely well, Sam.
That's a good point, Frank. Sam Noakes will join us when we talk boxing tomorrow. Frank, briefly, I mean, apart from all this boxing stuff, I know where your heart lies. Arsenal Bayern Munich tonight. What are you thinking? It's live in talkSPORT. You're going to be coming out the other end of that victorious?
Well, I hope so. After Saturday, I mean, I was gutted Saturday. I rushed back to try and get to the stadium. That bloody train strike and the traffic, I couldn't get there. Otherwise, I missed the Spurs game. I generally feel that it's now for Arsenal to mess it up or lose. That's how I look at it. And this match tonight, I believe they can win it. They actually performing. They were performing better in Europe than in the Premiership, but they're doing extremely well in the Premiership now. And it's set up as well the match for Saturday. That's for Sunday, isn't it? Against Chelsea. Bearing in mind what Chelsea did last night.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's really, I think it's really exciting times, especially for Arsenal and Queensbury.
Excellent. I like what you did there. Frank Warren, not for the first time, thank you so much for joining us this lunchtime. More from Danny and Simon as we head towards 1 o'clock this Wednesday lunchtime.
welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Is it a good time to get PSG, or is it a good time to get PSG? Anyway, Tottenham Hotspur have got PSG tonight in Paris, and we'll see how they do in that one. Another Champions League test for Thomas Frank and his Tottenham players. And of course, they go into this off the back of that North London derby defeat at the weekend. Much has been said about Thomas Frank. We'll talk about him in a second. This is the same Thomas Frank going into this game.
Part of taking this job was to sit here and have the challenges. Of course, I would love to sit here and we've beaten Arsenal and then face Paris tomorrow night. We lost badly. Part of that is to manage those setbacks and learn from it and move on from here. One thing I'm 1000% sure of, I know how to build a team, I know how to build a club. We didn't win enough of these duels. We're not aggressive enough. We're not going forward enough, and playing forward enough. And if you play 4-3-3, 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, 7-9-13, doesn't matter. If you are not doing that, I'm not in doubt of that.
Danny and Simon with me. I mean, he's got to the point fairly quickly. Not aggressive enough, not going forward enough, not playing forward enough. I mean, Danny, what is happening? Because when it comes to identity, Tottenham Hotspur fans are looking at their side and they're thinking, well, what are we?
Yeah, it's been a mixed bag, that's for sure. I think the last couple of performances I saw, the Chelsea home game, where they were a mile away from Chelsea, really. Got outplayed, kept trying to play out from the back, getting caught. Changed it a bit at Arsenal, didn't try and play out, went long a lot, long free kicks, but didn't really play with any tenacity or endeavour, or they looked a bit scared, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was a tepid performance. So I understand that. Giving him a bit of leeway very early in his tenure. The majority of games when I watched Brentford play under him, especially in the last 2 seasons, there was a real fight and athleticism and tenacity about them. So I think he's probably as baffled. I'm sure he didn't go into the Arsenal game expecting that. Sometimes players can freeze. Sometimes they don't engage with the messaging you're giving. So he's got to either make some changes or kick some backsides, because you can lose a game of football, but it's the way you lose it.
Well,
that was unacceptable.
And Danny, you mentioned Brentford there. I mean, I look at one message sent in by a Tottenham fan this lunchtime, Simon. Have we got Thomas Frank, Brentford manager, in a Tottenham tracksuit?
Well, the primary basis of his expertise has been managing Brentford, and the transition into Tottenham is going to take a period of time. He's going to take a period of time to get the message across. So Danny talks about what he's going to do with those players because they didn't put in a performance in the North London derby. It's going to be a combination of changes and a foot up the backside. And it's going to take him a period of time to do that. I don't think Tottenham have been great this season at times, but by the same token, they're performing at a higher level than they did last year. So you've got a new guy in the dugout that's acclimatising to a new environment. And as much as I say that managers have to be prepared from the get-go to have an instantaneous effect, let's be a little bit realistic about this guy. He's a good manager. We need to be giving him a period of time to be able to communicate his message across, get these players to understand what they're expected to do and how they're expected to do it. And we'll see the reaction from them. I think we'll see a reaction tonight. We might see a surprise result tonight. I don't think they'll beat.
I was about to ask you, do you fear for them tonight?
No, I don't fear for them tonight. I think they might get a result. I don't think they'll beat PSG, but I think they might get a point.
Big ask, but maybe. You never know in football. The thing is, what you have to realise is when you walk into Tottenham and you look at last season, the big problem they had was the amount of goals they conceded and how easy they were to play against. So he has gone through the door and tried to stop that, which inevitably makes you more pragmatic, less easy on the eye.
Yeah.
But the games against Chelsea and Arsenal, they weren't just pragmatic and hard to beat. They were pragmatic and open and lethargic and all those words, insipid, whatever. They were way below what any team should be, relevant of what formation you play. But you're right, you got to give them some time. The thought with Tottenham fans at the minute is a little bit, it's always going to be like this. If you watch Brentford as much as I did last season, he turned that team in. They went from a pragmatic team to a team that could play through the middle, through Norgard, get it into the feet of Mbeumo. They were a good side to watch last year, Brentford. They could mix it up. But they did play football. He's not long ball merchant per se.
Okay.
That's a bit of a myth. Just give him a bit of time.
The question is, do you think that can he cross this Rubicon? And I think he can. I think he's good enough to manage Tottenham Hotspur.
Will he get time to, is the question.
Well, that's the question. I mean, surely there has to be some degree of time.
We're not in Graham Potter Chelsea territory.
No, why would we be? I mean, Graham Potter wasn't fit for purpose and really wasn't fit for purpose at Chelsea.
Yeah.
Thomas Frank isn't in that situation.
Okay. Good luck to Tottenham tonight in Paris. I have a feeling they might need it, but go out there and prove me wrong. We shall see. Danny, thank you so much.
Loved it.
Don't take what those nasty Chelsea fans were saying to you about the club.
I like Chelsea, Jim. They're misguided.
There you go. You'll come round to our way of thinking and realise that Danny's just a lovely lad. See you tomorrow.
You will.
Thank you so much, Simon, for everything. It's 1 o'clock.